Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Out's here, and it's Tuesday, and we're doing Tuesday trivia. It's kind of off season because the Raptors season's over, postseason's over, and the Tempo hasn't started their season technically. So we're in like a week of off season right now. So we're off season schedule, and today we're playing a game of Raptor Freak Tuesday trivia, and it's going to be: Are you paying rapt attention? The Raptors versus Cavs first round playoffs. Yeah, so there's going to be questions about the playoffs that we just did. And well, we'll get to them soon, very quick. Let me just read the comments from the other stream that I could not have anymore. Adriana is saying, "Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Trivia day. Please make sure you're on live to be able to participate." That's right. Make sure your mic's working, Lex. We got that fixed. Reggie's saying, "Morning, all. Masai Ujiri press conference today. A lot of speculation already surrounding Mavs and Leonard or Giannis. I don't care about that. That's all pipe dreams by Mavericks fans. That's pipe dreams. We'll see. Giannis still ain't leaving Milwaukee. I don't believe it. Kawhi Leonard may be more possible. But either way, I'm not wishing nothing good for Dallas. And you know what? I don't give a shit about Masai's press conference today. I give a shit about Bobby Webster and Darko Rajakovic's press conferences today because they will be taking the podium today. And Ujiri, well, it's not that he's dead to me, but I am extremely disappointed in him. And he's getting some respect pegs knocked down a few because of his new job. It's just purely that. I've thought about it more and more, and I feel like in some ways I'm not totally sure if Masai Ujiri is truly who he is. That he is portraying himself as something, and he is not truly himself who he portrays himself as. And that's sad to me because I'd rather believe in Masai than believe in Michael. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'd say to that. So in some ways, Masai's a sore subject. In some ways, he is now a Maverick. And that's just something that I think is horrible. I think that is absolutely horrible that he has gone to Dallas and he says, we will win in Dallas, because that's what he does. He says, we're going to win somewhere. So I don't give a shit about his press conference. I want to watch Coach Rajakovic today talk about the season for the Raptors, and Bobby Webster talk about the Raptors. And yeah, the media day for the Raptors happened yesterday for the end of the season, and we could talk about that. But once again, the only time I'm going to talk about Masai at this point, in some ways, I'm not going to talk about every little thing he does in Dallas because I don't give a shit, is when he does stuff with the tempo. You know, we'll talk about this too. You're jumping ahead, man. Reggie, why are you so excited about Masai being in Dallas? Who cares? It's like, I got tempo to talk about. I got Raptors to talk about. Masai, in some ways, it's not as bad as what Nick did. Let's just put it that way. But it's in that direction as far as like, man, this is so unclassy. And this is just really below Ujiri as far as I'm concerned. I really, in some ways, hope that a gun was put to his head to make him take this job because honestly, it's poor judgment. And it really, in some ways, to me, taints his legacy. Now I have to think about all his legacy, his relationship with the leader of Rwanda and all these other controversial things, and look at them in a different light, considering his new partnership with his new ownership group. So this is not a good thing with Masai. I'm not celebrating any of this shit because in some ways he's a fool for taking that job. Trevor's saying this: sometimes God moves, won't move. Wait, sometimes God won't more than mountains because you are called to climb it. The trail is not mean to destroy you; it is dead to develop you. What? Man, I know you're reading that quote in, man, but it doesn't make any sense. I could try and decipher it, but this isn't the right kind of cue cards to get me because it's really not right. Sometimes God won't more than mountains because you are called to climb it. The trail is not mean to destroy you. It is dead to develop you. I'm guessing you said it is there to develop you, not it is dead to develop you. Man, spell check. Or you know what? Edit, Trevor, please. Blessings to the Jones family, all the Raptor Freak families. Yeah, he's no longer a Raptor, so what? Thank you, Reggie. That's what I'm saying. And Trevor said on this one too, New York Knicks run all over the Sixers and Minnesota beat the Spurs. Yeah, that's the playoff games last night. The Knicks have this crazy run right now in the playoffs where they're just blowing people out. They really made Atlanta humiliated in their last game. And well, they kind of humiliated Nick Nurse and the Sixers in their first game of the second round. Yeah, and sad to see Minnesota hold on to a 2-point win against the Spurs in San Antonio last night. Yeah, I've been saying this. The Timberwolves are a real deal team. Like they are not to be messed with. And I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't do something very impressive this year. Seriously, they could be the champs. Timberwolves. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people may look past them and not really think about them seriously. But when you have a player like Rudy Gobert and Anthony Edwards on your team, that's a nasty combo that everybody should be respected because they have the right kind of role players. They got the depth. They got a pretty good coach. They've got a defensive player of the year center. Yeah, they've got a lot of good pieces to get this done. Not to mention good veteran leadership on that team that knows what they're doing too. So yeah, Spurs are young. Spurs lost their first home game in the second round to the Timberwolves last night at home. That's crazy. Yeah. Fiercey's here. Good morning, fam. Happy trivia day. Who is Michael? Well, this is something that has come up recently that, we didn't know really a lot about this as Raptors fans. But if you go to Wikipedia and you look at Masai's profile, you'll see that his real name is Michael. It's very strange. It's a very strange thing. And somebody called him Michael the other day on an interview. And I was like, why do you call him Michael? And then I went and looked on there on his Instagram, on his Wikipedia, and his real name is Michael Masai Ujiri. Yeah, to me, it's like he's branded as Masai. Everybody knows him as Masai. And when somebody calls him Michael, it's kind of disrespectful to me. I think I would be I feel disrespectful. I mean, it's his real name. It's his real first name. And it's something we never knew about. See, this is what I'm saying. We never really knew Messiah, I guess, because his name is Michael. And, I don't know. In some ways, like I said, I want to temper my disappointment in Ujiri to not be too heavy. I don't know. I also had an idea last night that maybe Ujiri went there to try and plead with her to stop her genocidal ways. That maybe he's the kind of humanitarian and activist that can change things from within. And he can come in there and maybe talk to Miriam Adelson and talk to her about funding bombing of innocent people in Palestine and Gaza. And maybe he can change her. No, he can't. You're kidding yourself, Lex. These people that come up with that mentality about Israel, they can't be swayed. They're maniacs and they're fundamentalists, and they're just as bad as Islamic fundamentalists. It's the same people. It's just a different side of the coin. So, yeah, Michael is apparently Masai's real name. And somebody called him that in an interview in the last month. And I was like, why did you call him Michael? And then I went and looked at his Wikipedia and said, oh, it's Michael. So it's like, did we even know him at all? That's what I'm saying. He's going to go work for a genocidal owner. And he's been somebody who's done, I mean, are they going to let him do Giants of Africa there? I have so many questions about this. It's just that his politics and what he stands for totally does not jive with her and that the family that owns that team. I don't know. I really do forecast a train wreck for Ujiri in Dallas, just in all kinds of ways. I love the man. I want him to be successful, but not in Dallas. I don't want him to be successful in Dallas. So it's a conundrum. It's something right in the middle. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. That's right. How come I only see my comment? I see your comments. I see your comments. The other comments were on the other post that I had to erase because the microphone didn't work. That's why you don't see the comments from before. W for Fiercey from Isaac. That's awesome. Yeah. Timberwolves have the roster with vets. They have a lot. They've had this is the thing. They're on the escalator up to Larry O'Brien, and they've had a couple of times where they messed up trying to go get it, and they have experience of failure. The Timberwolves have failed in their playoff quests in years recently. And, well, this may be the year where they're going to go for it. We'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. MJ saying, and they're no longer stuck with Cat. They're no longer stuck with Cat. Yeah. Yeah, it's a different edge. And you know what? Actually, the funny thing is a lot of people are saying that Minnesota looks much better now spending all those first-round picks to get Rudy Gobert at this point. You think about the Jazz trade, and exactly how that went down, like when the Jazz traded Donovan and Rudy, and you're like, holy crap, that's kind of like actually that trade looks good at this point. The what they gave up to get a bona fide player like Rudy Gobert. Now, Donovan Mitchell trade with Cleveland, does that look good at this point? I don't know. I don't think it looks as good as the Rudy Gobert trade for Utah. So for Memphis, I mean for Minnesota, I mean, I think that trade looks better and better as time goes on. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Adriana's saying Fiercely Lex had a video problem in the beginning. Yeah, I had the other stream and people started commenting it, but the mic didn't work on that stream. So I switched up real quick. Now I've gotten good at fixing that really fast so that it's kind of not a big deal. So yeah, all the comments that were there are on here too. Yeah, let's see. All right, we got lots of people here already. So we're gonna start the trivia very soon. G saying experience will be the X factor in the playoffs. And Timberwolves have it over San Antonio. Sadly, I have to say that. They do. Wemby broke some sort of record, or he got an amazing amount of blocks last night. I think he had like 11 blocks. And it's something like something Wilt Chamberlain did. That's what Kurthika was talking about on Blue Skies. That Wemby had an amazing block game last night, which is pretty cool, pretty crazy. UC's here. Good morning, UC. Good morning, Raptors gang. Kind of weird hearing Michael instead of Masai. I know two Michaels. There's Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson. Yeah. I mean, I guess another great Michael is Ujiri. Yeah. Jackson, Jordan, Ujiri. Great Michaels. I know. In some ways, it's like, is that his anglicized name? That's not his Nigerian name, right? That's not his Nigerian name. Masai Ujiri is his Nigerian name. In some ways, I'm like, well, why are you calling Michael? That's like, is that a slight? Are you trying to insult him? Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? I was wondering about that. It's weird. It's a weird thing. Seymour saying this, I will always have love for Masai. Yeah, we got to. He's the architect. That's why in some ways this isn't so special. And I think the timing of him signing right away yesterday shows that he really was biting at the chomp to take another job as soon as he legally could. And, the rumors are that he met with them in December last year and set this job up back then, that this was already in the works and coming. And, I had heard the rumors of this back then too, that he had met with Dumont and talked about coming to help run their team. But I didn't want to believe it at that time. I said, that sounds crazy. Well, it wasn't, because it comes around now 6 months later almost, and he has been hired by the Mavs. And that was all set up since December, apparently. So he's been obviously waiting to come off the books of MLSE and Ed Rogers' payroll, sitting at home, not doing nothing, but waiting. That's what he is doing, and helping with the tempo to set up. That's right. Yeah. Man had hands put on him in front of the world while trying to celebrate. I'll never forget. No, there's so many things about Masai that I love. It's just that I question this decision by him. And in some ways, I don't want him making money for genocide. That's just the pure guts of it, man. Kyrie sits out for a season. He's not making money for genocide. And I appreciate him for that. And well, hopefully, maybe Masai will trade Kyrie to Toronto or something. I don't know. I mean, maybe we have another good trading partner out there. That's the way you should look at it, Lex. Masai won't be mean to the Raptors, right? Who knows? Maybe he can do a little Nico Harrison for the Raptors like Nico Harrison did for the Lakers, right? Maybe Cooper Flagg's coming to Toronto. Wait, what are you doing, Masai? No, this is the move you do here in Dallas now. That's right. I'm trading your favorite player to my old team because that's what we do to Dallas now. That's right. Luka to Lakers, Cooper Flagg to Toronto. Woo! Yeah. You just traded Cooper Flagg for Grady Dick. Why'd you do that, Masai? I'm the boss. You listen to me. I make the decisions. Grady Dick is a fantastic player. I drafted him. He's amazing. That's pretty funny one right there. Y'all are laughing. I see you laughing. That would be so funny if Masai Nico Harrison them. Dallas fans are all happy. We're safe. We're safe. What are you doing? You just traded Cooper Flagg. No. Like, yeah, this is what happens. You should have never sold the team, Mark Cuban. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. All right. G said, really good. Hang on. Y'all, no more comments. I want to start the trivia, y'all. Really good bigs are hard to get. Teams will need to overpay supply and demand. Yeah, I mean, that's some of the stuff we're saying about Yacht right now. Speaking of Yacht, man, and I don't want to get on tangents right now because we really do need to start the trivia. Adriana has something to do. Um, Scotty did a ringing endorsement for Pirtle in his exit interview yesterday. He said so many things, and I hope Raptors fans listen to as far as how important Yak is to Scotty and having him on this team and what he does to help Scotty. So, all the detractors of Yaka Pirtle, in some ways, what you think about Yaka Pirtle don't matter. What Scotty Barnes thinks about Yaki Pirtle does matter. And go listen to Scotty's exit interview and listen to him answer questions about Pirtle and how he feels about playing alongside Pirtle and what he does. Just trust me. That'll calm a lot of people down on that. That's right. Trivia. Okay, she's saying trivia. Trevor's saying, well, we can't be mad at Masai. Rogers fired him when he was loyal to us. Yeah, I know, but I can be mad at him for the next job he takes. If it's all about this, I'll bet you he's getting paid $20 million to go work for a genocidal lady. And the money that he derives and makes for that company, because listen, he made a lot of money for Toronto Raptors. He made us $1 billion team, valuation like tripled, doubled, quadrupled. And well, that's the thing. They brought Masai there to help her make money. What does she do with her money? She spends it on bombs, and she bombs innocent people and genocide. So he's part of the war machine right now. And in some ways, I have no respect for that, Trevor. And that's my convictions on that. Sorry, that's just how I feel about it. Jimmy's saying this: Cavs are frauds. We took the most expensive team ever to Game 7 without one of our all-stars and starting point guard. Crazy. They are gassing up, beating us. I'll take it as a compliment. Don't listen to those losers. We know Cleveland sports fans are absolute losers. Absolute losers. They got a LeBron championship, and that's pretty much it. Everything else about their sports city sucks. So let's not listen to these losers. What have they done otherwise? They have to take every little morsel of success and love it. I think they might beat Pistons. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I think the Cavs will beat the Pistons, but they're gonna fail miserably in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's my prediction right now. Yeah. Seymour saying I retract my call in yesterday. Stargate was right. The trade talks are super dumb. And thus let Bobby do his job. I love that. Seymour's like, yeah, they are. There's so many of them, and they're all over the place, and they are dumb. It's like weeds spreading in your yard. Just got to weed them out, or just ignore them and let it be natural, because it's a natural thing. Jimmy's saying our future is bright and theirs is bleak. That's right. That was the last thing said at Media Day. I think Jacoby said it. Our future is so bright. I forget who said it. It was one of the players. I think it was Mamu. Mamu might have said it. Yeah, Mamu gave clues that he does want to be back with Toronto and that money is not everything to him. Fitting in and getting the chance and getting to play on a rotation level is more important to him. So he made it sound like he's planning on being a Raptor next year in his exit interview yesterday. You go watch that interview. You tell me what you sound like with Mamu. In some ways he's being coy and he's saying the right things so his agent won't be mad at him. But he's also pretty much saying, I plan to be in Toronto next year, and I'm doing everything the coaches are asking me to do this summer to get better because I plan to be in Toronto next year. So that was good news. Sandro Mamukelashvili is making it sound like he really does want to be in Toronto next year. That's right. Trivia. That's right, Seymour. Cancel your Rogers subscription again, folks. That's what Isaac's saying. That's right. No more comments, please. No more comments. UC saying if Masai gives us Kyrie, then I'm buying a Raptors jersey of his, guaranteed. I mean, in some way, somehow, Kyrie's not going to be there soon. I know it. This summer, he's got to get out. He's like a political hostage. I really do look at him like that. He's a political hostage. Kyrie Irving, free Kyrie, free Kyrie. Good morning, Lex and RaptorFreak crew. Good morning, Trucker Kaz. Happy Tuesday. Jimmy's saying, have a good summer, y'all. All right, Jimmy, you too. I hope you stick around. Let's get into the tempo, my guy. Come on, man. The tempo are going to be awesome. We got to watch tempo, my guy. Tempo. I watched this new tempo podcast, and it's really good. Talking Tempo or whatever. Man, those guys really know their X's and O's. I highly recommend their podcast. They're very in-depth with the WNBA on a level that I'm not, but I'm still going to cover it because that's what I do. Neil's saying this. Sandro's exit interview was great. He understands the challenge he had in the playoffs and what to work on in the offseason. Very straightforward. Yeah. He even said some of the things you were saying yesterday in the stream about his position and that he I think of myself as a 4. But I'll play any position they ask. They actually did say he did say some of the stuff you were saying yesterday. Yeah, trivia cut off. Listen to Isaac Campbell and Jimmy saying I'll be around. Okay, I just took it as like have a good summer, y'all. Yeah, it's here. I was planting so many plants yesterday. I planted so much in my yard yesterday. I'm planting this week. I am planting. Lots of flowers yesterday. I planted a lot of flowers yesterday. So we're saying TSN announced as the official media partner of the Toronto Tempo. Well, they're going to broadcast them, so they better be. So is Sportsnet. So Rogers will be too, because they have the same deal as the Raptors. Half the games on TSN, half the games on Sportsnet. It's the same deal as the Raptors. So Tempo will be on those 2 channels in the very same fashion as our Toronto Raptors. Yeah. Kaz is saying, good news, Smooth. I'd rather TSN than shitty ass Sportnet. Well, they're both doing it, and it's the same deal. It's half and half, unfortunately. All right, let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into this. Are you paying rapt attention to the playoffs this year in the Raptors' first round series with the Cleveland Cavaliers? Well, these questions we'll find out. 200 points each question. And yet, once again, Commissioner of Trivia, Adriana, has helped me write this week's trivia. And she did a good job once again. And I came in and edited and filled it out for the whole 17 questions. So let's get our trivia hats on for Raptor Freak Tuesday trivia. Are you paying rapt attention? That's right. Let's see who is paying attention in these playoffs. Here's the first question, guys. And you'll give me a second for writing in who gets the question after each one. All right. This Raptor on the down low logged a ton of minutes for the whole organization all the way from Summer League to this playoff series. Which Raptor am I talking about? This is a guy who played in Summer League, preseason, regular season, playoffs, and well, let's just say he played for another team too. And he got tons of minutes for the Raptors organization this whole entire year on the down low. That's what I'm saying. Colin Murray-Boyles, Scotty Barnes? No. Jacoby Walter? No. We know Scotty played a lot of minutes for the Raptors, but I'm talking about somebody who played in Summer League, played in preseason, and played in all that. That's right. AJ Lawson is the right answer. The Sheriff Seymour Pate coming in to get our guy from Brampton. That's right. I just wanted to highlight this, guys. The journey of AJ Lawson this past year started in Summer League in Vegas and playing with the young guys. And well, he was on every important team for the Raptors this year, including the 905 with Drew Jones and all the impressive work he did down there. So the answer is AJ Lawson for question number 1, and Seymour Pape is the one to get it. I would like to say I'd like full name answers, guys. So no just putting in one name, Scotty or Colin or anything like that for this. Yeah. So, all right. Good job, Seymour, getting the first question. We'll move forward for the second question here. Which Cavalier showed graciousness in Toronto to our crowd? Which Cavalier showed graciousness to Toronto and our crowd? That's right. Which Cavalier? You know, he had an incident happen in Game 7 also that was similar, and he had to do the same thing. That's right. It was Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell ran out of bounds in the corner of the court at courtside and ran over a couple people in the corner at Toronto in Scotiabank Arena. He then leaped 2 rows into the Cavs crowd in Game 7, landing in some lady's lap. She looked really shocked about that development. So, yeah, Donovan Mitchell is the correct answer. And on my screen, it's Kaz that's got Donovan Mitchell written first. So he was paying rapt attention, obviously. So Kaz gets question number 2. Which Cavalier showed graciousness in Toronto to our crowd? It was Donovan Mitchell. Yes. And Adriana is confirming my judgment that it is Trucker Kaz that has Donovan Mitchell's name written in first in the chat. All right, next question, guys. On rapt attention. Playoffs. That's right. Which Raptor got fouled by Jared Allen on a dunk attempt and the refs didn't call it? They actually show this highlight as some sort of great highlight by Jared Allen, but it was obviously a foul. So who was that got fouled by Jared Allen and they did not call it? They said it was a block. Oh man, Jared Allen only talked trash the moment he had a decent game. That's funny. Scotty Barnes, that's not the right answer. Colin Murray-Boyles is not the right answer. You guys got to remember this was a pretty signature move that happened in the game, not Jacoby Walter. So which Raptor came at the basket, was going to dunk it? Jared Allen crossed his arm and fouled him, but it was at an angle from the camera that nobody saw it. Seymour's got it again. It's Jakob Poeltl. That's right. Yak had a big monster Austrian hammer coming. And well, Jared Allen got him across the arm. It's obvious in the camera. You can see in the replay, but Zach Zarba and them, or whoever the ref was, thought that, oh, that's a clean block from the angle they were looking. But when you look from the other way, he obviously got him across the arm. So yeah, it's Poeltl. Poeltl is the right answer on this one. And Seymour Pape is getting his second question of the day. There you go. Question number 4, guys. Which Cavalier is surely still not better than Scotty Barnes? Question number 4. Which Cavalier is surely still not better than Scotty Barnes after this playoff series? That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Which Cavalier is surely still obviously not better than Scotty Barnes? This is an easy question if you know what we're talking about. I take 2 answers here because you could put in the other answer. If you do, I'll give you whoever put in the other answer is going to get points too. So there's 2 here. All right. Yeah. Evan Mobley is right. And UC looks like at the top of my screen, but the first person to write Edwin Mosley is Kaz. So we're going to give points to both of them. So it's going to be Edwin Mobile Home. What is that? That's awesome. I love that right there. Yeah, let's go. You're going to get points for Edwin Mosley. I love that. That was the secret answer, Kaz. So you're getting that. And UC is getting the other points. So UC and Kaz are both getting 200 for this question. It's a 4 question. That's right. Let's go. Adriana, you agree with it? Yep, she does. She says, yep. Let's go. That's right, Kaz. That's right. Starting this Tuesday off right with Edwin Mosley. That's right. Edwin Mosley and Evan Mobley. That's right. You got it. All right, let's keep going. Question number 5. Which Raptors goofy photo of him with braces and a high flat top resurfaced on Instagram due to his teammates after game 6? Yeah, they were just showing pride in him because of things. So who had a goofy picture of him with his braces and his flat top after game 6 posted there? Yeah. Oh, it looks like Fiercey's got it already. That it's RJ Barrett. And you guys are all right in there. I see Slug DZ. I see Kaz. I see Trevor. Yes, it was our star Jay Barrett. And that picture is so fun, man, with those braces and girl power. Okay, we got it. She's confirming that it's Fiercey. Girl power. Okay. All right. So Fiercey gets the RJ Barrett question, which is that picture's so fun and goofy. You know, what did RJ say in the press conference yesterday? He wants to be a Raptor for life, that he won't even try and hide it. He's not even going to try and lie for his agent or anything. I want to be here for the rest of my career. That's what RJ said yesterday. So don't crush his dreams, Raptors fans, with your bullshit. Put the trade machine down. That's what I'm saying right there. So yeah, Fiercey gets the RJ question. Yeah, that was, I love RJ saying that, man. He's just such a real one, man. You had the high top too, but no braces. Yeah, that was, in some ways, I thought, RJ, you're too young to be rocking a 90s hairstyle. Like, why did he have that haircut at that time? Wasn't that Kid in Playtime around 90s or something like that? That kind of hair? Like, he had to be rocking that around 2010. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of like, that's kind of a throwback look for that era, right? Unless, I don't know, maybe style had came back around that time. Trevor J probably could answer that for us. Yeah. You know, because it seems like that's RJ's like a time capsule, because that hairstyle was like 90s, right? Man wasn't born until 2000s. So how do you do that? Time traveler. RJ's time traveler. Yeah, that's what it is. Eraserhead, Kid and Play. That's right. Eraserhead. It's like, what is this? Yeah, we love RJ. That's right. We love RJ. Y'all watched these interviews yesterday. They were good, man. All right, next question. All right. Which Cavalier did an Andre the Giant signature wrestling move to Scotty Barnes? Which Cavalier did an Andre the Giant signature wrestling move to Scotty Barnes? Yeah. Max Struess is right. Kaz has got it. Of course, he did the big headbutt. The headbutt. What was they always said? Like, it was kind of racist, honestly, in wrestling. If you're a junkyard dog or a foreign player or a wrestler or like a Samoan, you have a harder head, so one of your moves is a headbutt. That is so goofy, man. Some ways on the download racist. But yeah, Andre the Giant had a big headbutt, that's for sure. And Max Strus had one that was totally out of place in a basketball game in game 7. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Max Strus. Oh, Smith saying Sportsnet will not be broadcasting the Tempo Lex. They will not be? I had heard that they're splitting it, that they will be involved. But if they're not, that's great. That's great news. That hairstyle is still in play today, Trevor. Man, stuff comes back, eh? It's like it cycles back every few decades, right? It's like stuff comes back again. So Kaz got Max Strus, the headbutt artist. Yeah, what a jerk, eh? That guy's such a jerk. I know Adriana, when she wrote that question, she's like, I hate that guy so much for what he did to Scotty. It's so dangerous what he did, seriously. And, the calls for Strus to be suspended for the first game tonight, they should be kind of listened to, NBA, because they should not be allowing players to do dirty shit like what he did to Scotty. That could have been a disaster. Let's just put it that way. All right, question number 7. Which Raptor took the elevator up in more ways than one in this Cleveland series, but especially in throwing down one-handed jams? That's right. Who took the elevator up in this series? Elevator up and one-handed jams. There you go. There you go. That's a pretty easy question in some ways. Max Strus getting a better whistle than our entire team even after a headbutt. I don't know. Either way, let's not cry over spilled milk. We're moving on. The off season's here. And Kaz has gotten the question, is Colin Murray-Boyles. Yeah, elevator up in your career, elevator up in the profile that you are a good young rookie that can play in the playoffs, but elevator up with your feet going up and hammering it down with one hand over their head. That's right. Elevator up, Colin Murray-Boyles. And Trucker Kaz is on it. Yeah, you're going to stay a little longer? You can do it. In some ways, don't you have a choice, Adriana, in this? It's like, I don't want to make you choose or anything like that. But if that's not mandatory, what you got to go do, I want you to choose fun in your life. And I know that you have fun with us sometimes more than them. Let's just put it that way. All right, here we go. Question number 8. Which Cavalier did I distract from making a free throw shot by falling on the ground during game 4 of this series? I was at the game and I fell on the ground behind the scenes and I made this guy miss a free throw. It was hilarious. It was the first shot he took too. It was so good, man. Yeah. James Harden is right. I did help miss James Harden free throw in game 4 to start the game. And I told him, I got your wings, James. And then I fell on the ground in a comedic way. And he missed a free throw. It was awesome. All right, that's bucket list shit for me. Make James Harden miss a free throw in the playoffs against the Raptors as a Raptors fan. That's on my bucket list. Check. But either way, UC's getting the points for that one. Yeah, you were paying rapt attention to the show because that's a question that only people that watch this show would know. UC gets that question number 8. James Harden is the answer. Yeah, that was good stuff. You do have fun with the Raptor Freak family? That's right. That's right. Thank you, MJ. That was my pleasure to do that. Trust me. All right. Which Raptor had a similar initial NBA playoff stats to his legendary namesake? Which Raptor had pretty similar initial stats in his playoff stats in the beginning as his legendary namesake? Yeah. That's right. Do you put Jacoby Walter in? Fiercey's got it. That's right. Walter had stats that look very similar to Kobe Bryant's. A lot of people aren't talking about this enough. That Kobe was young when he made the playoffs. He was a very young player that came in the league, and his stats weren't super, super great right away. But his stats are eerily similar to Jacoby Walter's in his first playoff this year. So, yeah, that is the right answer. Jacoby Walter looking like his namesake. And that's not frivolous that they use. That's his name, Fiercey gets Jacoby Walter as that question. That's right. Fiercey is on the board for that one. All right, here we go. Question number 10. Moving right along with, are you paying rapt attention to the Cavaliers Raptors playoff series that just concluded on Sunday? All right, here we go. Which Cavalier committed the final flagrant foul of Game 7 series, which caused RJ to stand on business? Which one of the Cavaliers was a goon and did the last flagrant foul that made RJ come at him at the end of the game in game 7. Yeah, Dean Wade's not right. It wasn't Dean Wade. Nope. Jared Jackson? Jared Jackson? Who the hell is Jared Jackson? Remember, we play full name answer, guys. Full name answer. You giving me half the answer, you ain't getting it. Fiercey's got it. Jared Allen is the right answer. That's right. This is a rule on this channel. There's no half-ass answers because, it could be Allen Houston. It could be Ray Allen. It could be Alan Funt of Candid Camera. It could be Allen's Apple Juice. It could be so many Allens. It's Jared Allen. That's right. Fiercey's going to get it. Seagulled it from James. I'm sorry, James. I'm sorry. It's just the way it goes. That's right. Fiercey gets Jared Allen. That's right. Jarrett threw Jacoby to the floor, and RJ got right there. That's right. Standing on business. That's right, RJ. That's right. All right, next question. Which Toronto Raptor learned not to divulge too much about his relationship during the series? Which Toronto Raptor? Yeah. Which Toronto Raptor learned not to divulge so much about his relationship during the series? Yeah, this was a good one. Yeah, Brandon Ingram. You got it this time, James. You got it this time. That's right. Of course, famously in this series, Brandon got to the podium and they asked him about getting ready for 1 o'clock start for game 1. And he said, I'll just go to bed early. I'm sure Glorilla will annoy the hell out of me and I want to go to bed. And then he said that. And then Lindsey Dunn circled back the next press conference, said, Brandon, have you gotten any feedback from what you said at the last press conference? And Brandon said, yeah, I learned I'm never going to do that again. That's what he found out. So, yeah, Brandon Ingram's the right answer to that question. And James, Raptor Freak James, is on the board for this one. That's right. He got this one right. That's right. James is on there for a Brandon Ingram question. There you go. Good stuff, man. Y'all know your Raptor stuff. It's like y'all really love this team, and you know this stuff. All right, let's keep going. Number 12. We got 17 questions. We're on number 12. Which Cavalier tried to bait RJ into losing his cool by playing very up-close defense? Which Cavalier tried to bait RJ into losing his cool by playing suffocating up-close defense that was pesky and annoying as hell? That's right. Look at that. Fiercey knows. Fiercey knows. See, have you noticed all these questions are about the accolades and the things about the players on our team doing good, and these are about the goonish things that the other team did. That's right. Yeah, Dennis Schroeder is the right answer on this one. It was Dennis. Dennis tried to get in RJ's head, and he was all bugging him and testing him, and RJ didn't take the bait. I was so proud of him for that. So Dennis Schroeder was the answer to this question, and Fiercey's getting it. Fiercey's getting Dennis on that one. All right, next question. Question number 13. Which Raptor accomplished his specialty maybe not as often as we had all wished in this series? Which Raptor accomplished his specialty maybe not as often as we had all wished in this series? It could have been way more, right? Kaz knows it's Jamison Battle, of course, the specialist, Jamison Battle. And, well, we would have loved to see his specialty, the three-point shot, be utilized way more in this series. It seems silly that we had him, and he was such a powerful player for us all season against the Cavs in Halloween Day. But no, in some ways it seems like there was stuff left in the cupboard and not used as far as with Jamison Battle. It's too bad. But, yeah, Battle's the right answer. I see you, Trevor J. You're in there, Jamison Bottle. And, yeah, Jamison Battle. Kaz is the one on my screen getting this one. That's right. Kaz, Trucker Kaz is doing pretty good today. I hope you're not driving. Kaz is like, I got to play trivia. Don't text and drive, Kaz. Don't text and drive, please. All right, let's keep going. Question number 14, y'all. Who wore an NBA on NBC baseball hat to hide their hideous hat hair in the press conference room? Who wore an NBA on NBC baseball hat to hide their hideous hat hair in the press conference room? Yeah, this is something else, right? Like, this will be a funny question here. Who wore an NBA on NBC hat in the press conference room because they had really bad hair? Really, really bad hair. This is probably the toughest question today. Jamal Shed? No, it wasn't Shed. Wasn't Shed. No, it wasn't Shed. This will be interesting. I'll see how y'all get this. This is a deep cut. And you know, if you don't watch the press conferences, you won't know what I'm talking about. So maybe I want to see how long this takes. This may be the hardest question today. It's who wore the NBA on NBC hat in the press conference room because they had really bad hat hair or just had bad hair, so they had to cover it up with the hat. Yeah, Shed's not right. You guys, nobody wants to guess. They're all like, what is this? I don't know. Jameson Battle? No, it's not Jameson Battle. I'd say you guys are cold. You know, I'll tell you if you're getting a little warmer. Those are both cold answers. That's not really close to the answer right there. But yeah, those are cold answers. Who do you guys think showed up in there? Yeah, here we go. She figured it out. It's like, let's think about this series. Who had the worst hair in this series? Did you see that man on the bench in game 7? He looked like a wet dog with his crazy ass hair all flipped and crazy and like looking all wet and like and looking all haggard, like he hadn't slept in days, or he'd been on a alcoholic binge in Las Vegas for 5 days. And like, Kenny Atkinson looked pretty rough by the end of the series, and he literally did on game 7. On Sunday, he showed up to the pregame press conference wearing this NBA on NBC hat, and he said, "Oh, my hair is horrible right now," and he was covering it up. And then he didn't fix it before the game, and he went out there and stood in the arena with his hair all messed up then too. Yeah, it was Kenny Atkinson, man. Yeah, he was all sweaty and all that kind of stuff. Fiercey gets the question. It was the coach of the Cavs. It was totally the coach of the Cavs. This is exactly right. Yeah, Kenny looked like he thought about getting fired if he blew that series lead. That's probably true, part of it. Yeah, they can see what happened with Jamal Mosley. And yeah, that might be very true. You're exactly right. That's the stress he had is like, man, I got to think about my job. All right, next question, guys. Here we go. Who gave all the glory to God consistently when entering the press conference room? Who gave all the glory to God consistently when he entered the press conference room? Yeah, who gave all the glory to God? That's right. Full name answers, half-ass. That's right. Full name answers. Scotty Barnes is a good guess, but it's not right. Emmanuel Quickly. Yeah, he didn't really take the podium during those things. Once again, y'all are being half-ass. I don't do this, y'all. We don't do this. This is the one rule in this thing is y'all are doing half-ass shit. Fiercey's gonna seagull y'all because y'all didn't do it. Kareem, you're too late. And Fiercey seagulled you guys, both you, Trevor and Kareem. Darko Rajakovic, of course, he came in every single time he did a press conference and said, "All the glory to God" right away. Every single time he came in there. Yeah, harsh, but okay. Adriana's saying it's harsh, but it's okay. Yeah, it's just the rule. She knows this. It's the golden rule. It's the cardinal rule of the Raptor Freak Trivia. No half-ass. And well, half-ass did it. The butt dialer did it, and he forgot. You got to get that Rajakovic in there. I'm sorry. It is harsh. Fiercey gets the points because she knows the rules. She knows the rules. That's right. Fiercey gets Darko's question. 2 more questions and we're out. All right. Which Cleveland Cavalier tried to bait Brandon Ingram early in the series to a fight and then later on tried to get Scotty off his rocker and pissed off too later in another game? Which Cavalier tried to bait Brandon and then came back around and tried to bait Scott later? Dean Wade's a good answer, but it's not the one I was looking for. Jalen Tyson is the answer I was looking for. Jalen Tyson specifically was very jarring towards Brandon in game 1 of the series. He was very physical with him and pushing him and grabbing him, and he was trying to frustrate him. And Brandon kept his cool and didn't take the bait. And then later in another game, Tyson got into it with Scotty a little bit too physically. So yeah, the answer was Jalen Tyson for this one as far as things. So Kaz is on it. He's been paying rapt attention. All right, we got one more question, and here it is, y'all. Which Toronto Raptor had one of the most iconic defensive plays in Raptors history during this series? Which Toronto Raptor had one of the most iconic defensive plays in this series? That's right, Kaz. Some of y'all could have said Scotty. You could have said a couple people, but it's definitely Shed and his 8-second stance. So Kaz is fast fingers today and looks like he's going to clean up and get, he might have got the most points today. which is pretty interesting. So Chucker Kaz gets the last question. Jamal Shed, 8-second violation. That is the answer to the question. There you go. Good job, Raptor Freaks. Yeah, it wasn't super hard, but it was important to see who was paying rapt attention to the playoffs. And that, yeah, there you go. 8-second king. That's right. The 8-second king. I love that. I love that. Max Struess is the head butter's full name. Yeah, Max Struess. 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 Yeah, he's a goofy guy, man. Goofy guy. All right, there you go. That's the trivia. Thank you, Cass. Great trivia, and Adrienne and Lex. Yeah, she did a good job. I've had a really busy day yesterday in some ways. There's some things going on in my personal life right now. They're pretty heavy. And Adriana was covering up for me and taking care of it while, I had preoccupied with some stuff right now, and it's still kind of ongoing right now. I found out yesterday that my grandmother, who's 103, is very close to transitioning, and we're all getting ready for this. So this week coming up is going to be it's going to be difficult for my family. And but we're very happy that 103 is amazing accomplishment, but it's still tough. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of my family's coming to Toronto, and we're coming together to get ready to pay our last respects. So it was inevitable, and something that we've been bracing for a while. So yeah, it's a little bit of a tough time right now. Yeah. All right. Adriana's saying thanks. Okay, I'm out. Good job, Raptor Freak family. Have a good rest of the stream. Love you, Lex. Love you too, Adriana. And thank you for your help once again. And I'll catch up with you later on. And once again, seriously, very helpful for doing the trivia. Very, very helpful. Fiercely saying, sorry to hear, Lex. May you and your family be strong. Yeah. I mean, it's something that is inevitable for everybody. And we all face this at different times. And well, like I said, she was born in 1922 in Estonia, and she was, a little girl who lived in a village in a forest, and not in any kind of modern world like we live in now. And war came to her life young in her life when she was a teenager, and she had a child already, and she had to be a war refugee. She had to escape the Nazis coming into Estonia, and then she had to escape the Russians taking over afterwards and consolidating her country into the USSR against their will after the war. So she got in a fishing boat and crossed the North Sea with my aunt as a little baby, and very harrowing journey as a refugee. So, the immigration stories that happen around the world today, they're in my family. And, I can identify with that kind of harrowing, kind of dangerous situation as far as like, people in my family that I care about had to go through that too. And then my father, he was born in Sweden as a child of no land. He was not a citizen of Sweden. He was an Estonian, but he was a baby born out of country. So he was kind of like a refugee baby. So there's a lot of these kind of babies that get born in displaced places than where they were supposed to be because of war, famine, all kinds of different reasons. So immigration is a very complicated subject, and in some ways, the things that cause people to immigrate are often man-made by really messed up people, like war or drought or things that are just getting subjugated, so where people don't have a good opportunity. They want to find another opportunity somewhere. So at some point, the USSR, the Soviets, started extraditing former Estonians from countries that they were hiding in or staying in away from the country, like Sweden, where my family was staying when my dad was born. So my family had to get on another plane and come to Canada, because if they got my grandfather, because he had fought against the Soviets, he would have gone to Gulag in Siberia. So they came to Canada. They didn't speak any English. They came to Hamilton, and they started working in factories as just like any other immigrant that doesn't speak English, coming in and doing menial work and very hard work. But I'm proud to say that my grandparents both had very good careers and lived the Canadian dream. They often tout this thing called the American dream, which is America is a land, the country that has of opportunity, but that's not true anymore. It's a xenophobic country that jails people that come from other places to there now. And if they made a deal with you before where you were going to be safe, like an Afghan translator or somebody who helped in these wars in the Middle East, they're turning on them now and shipping them off to other places or putting them in jail now. So that's not the land of opportunity. But Canada was a true land of opportunity for my family because they ended up getting really good jobs. My granddad worked for a CBC as a carpenter at the CBC in Toronto, and my grandmother went to work for Loblaws in the front office as an accountant. And they put their all three of their children through university, and then almost all their grandchildren went through university also. So huge success stories. Very, very successful family coming from immigration to do this. And there's all families from all around the world that do this to try and do this here in Canada from all over the place. And in some ways, I want them all to have that Canadian dream like my grandparents had to. So she's extremely accomplished person and there's nothing, in some ways I like to tell her story because it is really amazing. So yeah, yeah. Anyways, that just a little personal aside right there. It's all good. It's inevitable kind of thing that's going to happen, right? You know. Stargate saying that's tough, Lex. My love to you and your family. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, Estonia's been through some shit. Yeah, yeah. Just a really small country, and in the history of time and civilization, they've been taken over by the Swedes, the Russians, the everybody, every which way, all kinds of different ways, and they've been independent again since the Berlin Wall fell in the 90s. And it's just been really nice to have 30 years of independence again. It's not like their country was out of the USSR right away. They had to be in part of the Soviet Union against their will, just like Lithuania and Latvia. And they got their independence in the mid 90s, 94. So, yeah, this is important stuff. Speaking of the Baltics, let's talk about some tempo real quick. We've had some more interviews come out from some of the European players that just showed up. And well, there's a camp battle for the tempo going on right now because they have 15 players on their roster and they can only have 14. And well, these guys talking tempo, I'm going to piggyback off them a little bit because they're really well organized and they seem like they really know their tempo stuff. Now they look at the playoff, the training camp battle as being between three players that are trying to not get cut. So there's really going to be like one more player that gets cut. And the three that are on the bubble right now are Lexi Held, Kitty Laxa, and Laura Euskadi. Those are kind of the three. There's kind of like, okay, one of these people is probably going to get cut. Now, Laura has done amazing in the preseason. And in some ways, we need her size because we're really good guard wise. And Kitty and Lexi are both guards, and they were both rookies on Phoenix last year. And in some ways, it's going to be a tough decision. Now, Maria has shown up, and man, Maria's going to be so good, guys. I'm going to say this right now. Maria Conde is going to be all right. I can tell. I can feel her energy right now. She's going to be a badass. Like, she's going to be an instant WNBA star and never played in the WNBA because she's such a good pro. Like Sandy says, Maria Conde is the best European player that has not played in the WNBA yet. Well, she's going to change that, and she's on our team. And this is the thing with Milic and Conde and Euskadi. These three right here may be absolutely essential to be on the team just for having size, just for having the ability to battle for rebounds and have any kind of defensive presence around the paint, because we do lack that. It's after Temi Fagbenle. We don't have a whole lot of size. So I value having Euskadi on our team because she has a versatility to her with some size involved. And, Lexi Held's a fantastic three-point shooter. We saw her go off in the first preseason game as the leading scorer. I think she deserves to be on this team because she's very enthusiastic and very bubbly and positive about being a tempo and being a part of this history. But man, Kitty Laxa, she shows up, and this is so dumb. And she got points against her with me right off the bat, the Latvian. She shows up and she said, "Why is it still cold here?" You're from Latvia. Shut up. She said, "It better get warm here. I was just in Italy and Italy's so warm over there, and it's so cold here right now. I'm like, you're from the Baltics. I know you went to school at University of South Florida in Tampa. And in some ways, Florida weather, this weather, stuff like that. But if you're going to be a snob about this weather, you can make this cut real easy, kitty. Seriously. That's not the best foot forward, is to complain about the weather, especially when we're about to go into the summer and the weather is going to be perfect around here. You don't need to, none of the tempo players ever need to complain about weather because your season's in the summer. And if I hear, that's why I was annoyed with Brittany when she started bringing it up as soon as she showed up. You are not in the NBA. You're not on the Raptors. They can complain about it because their season goes through the brunt of it. Y'all don't have to deal with this. So I don't want to hear no tempo players in the future complain about no weather in Canada or Toronto. And Kitty Laxa, you stepped in it, your first impression yesterday with your dumbass interview talking about it. So meanwhile, Laura Yascati is talking about how I love this city. I'm sightseeing. I'm taking pictures of CN Tower. And you know what? The weather here reminds me of home in Lithuania, and it doesn't bother me at all. So I was like, yeah, make this cut real easy, Kitty Laska. You showed up last. You showed up, and you know what? It's not even that cold right now. You're full of shit. But you're going to complain about the weather in Canada? Did somebody tell you to do that? Because seriously, we got to cut one more person. And maybe we could put Laura Yascati with Tiani Key on those two development spots. And, well, Lexi Held or Kitty Laxa, two best friends from Phoenix Mercury last year. We're going to pick between the two of y'all. In some ways, both of y'all are kind of duplicitous as far as, offering the same kind of stuff. Well, tough decision made. Lexi's happy to be here. She's enthusiastic. She rushed over here from Hungary as soon as she was done with her European season and jumped right in it. And meanwhile, Kitty Lax is complaining about losing her tan in Canada already. I guess I'll lose my tan while I'm here. I've got a nice tan from being in Italy. You're stupid is what I would say to you, Kitty. You're dumb. You don't understand how weather works. The summer's coming. You'll have sun here. You can keep your tan. But you know what? You may not keep your roster spot because this is not the first step to do. Seriously. It's not. It's not. That's what I'm saying right there. It's not the right first step right there. That's right. That's right. Cass saying inspiring story. Sending my support to you and the family. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It was really, I got to go to Estonia a couple of years ago, famously. You guys saw me in Estonia on this channel because I was doing my show in there. And it meant a lot to me to go back and see the homeland and, the place where my grandparents came from and had to flee to escape war. And that's the whole reason why I'm even on this continent. Alexei Otz does not show up in Canada without World War II, the Soviets, and an Estonian family fleeing as war refugees. So this all had to happen a certain way to me to even exist. You know what I'm saying? Because my dad don't meet his Canadian wife in Canada unless his family has moved from Europe to Canada because of this. So, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Trevor J saying that Tina Charles has announced her retirement. Congratulations to her. Kaz is saying, Rook, Lexi Held needs to stay. How tall is Scotty, Lex? Man, in some ways, I don't remember all their heights and stuff, but let me go look. You know what? We'll look at this real quick. I know you're driving. You be checking, but you're driving. Scotty, I believe, is like 6'1". I believe that's where she's at. Like, and anybody 6'1" or higher is a forward size in the WNBA. It's kind of how it works. All right, let me go look at the roster. I'll find this right here. Yeah, let me see. What is she? Scotty is she's 6'2", actually. So yeah, the height's going down. Tiani Key was talked about extensively by Sandy Brondello in an interview, a joint interview with Kiki Rice and Marina Mabry that I saw yesterday. Thank you, Trevor, for posting it. Tiani Key's 6'5", and so is Niara Sabali. And Sandy was saying some things about Tiani that, man, she's such a project. She has such potential and such a natural talent and skills. And that, they're really looking at her to be molded to become a very high-level WNBA player. So Tiani Key, the second-round pick in the draft for us, is a project that they're excited about molding and getting going. And she seems really enthusiastic and positive about being in Canada and being on the tempo. Tiani Key has been really, really enthusiastic. So, Tammy, 6'4", Milic, 6'3", Isabel Harrison, 6'3", Euskadi, 6'2", and yeah, Kitty Laxa, 6'1", Maria Conde, 6'1", Aaliyah Nye, 6 foot, Kia Nurse, 6 foot. Yeah, that interview was interesting with Mabry, Rice, and Brondello. Apparently, Marina Mabry can't keep her phone still. Like she's in there trying to do an interview and she's walking around, she's moving the camera, all these different weird angles. Like the whole thing is hilarious. It's kind of a comedy show. In some ways, it could have been a very funny Saturday Night Live sketch, like where they're doing like Sandy and Kiki and Marina interview, and Marina Mabry's just got that camera going all every which way in different directions and stuff like. You know how some people do that in interviews? They're like on the phone, but they're doing a phone interview, but they can't keep the phone still and they keep moving it. And then they're walking around their house and it's just moving everywhere. Yeah, that was going on with Marina. It was kind of comical, honestly. It was pretty comical, man. It's pretty crazy, man. Yeah, let's see. All right, let's see what else y'all are saying here. Trevor's saying, Lex, it's hard to lose a loved one, man. I lost my big brother 4 months ago, but I didn't tell you guys about it. I hate hearing that, Trevor. And man, my sympathies. I'm sorry. You know, we would have been there for you too. You know, that's the thing. You guys, we all go through different things all the time. And honestly, you know, I lean on you guys in some ways that I would do the same thing for y'all. As long seriously, if you're somebody who's like been a regular on this channel, we care about each other. And as we go through different things that we have to deal with, you know, reach out if you want to. If you don't want to share it, you want to keep it private, that's your right. But if you do want any kind of like sympathies or just to talk about it with people here, you're totally welcome to, Trevor. I'm sorry about your big brother, man. Had no idea until you just told us. And definitely condolences and sympathies about dealing with this and what you've been dealing with in the last couple months. I had no idea, Trevor, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. Yeah. Fiercely saying, speaking of summer, CMB will stay in Toronto in the offseason, put in the work. Yeah, he did say that. He's not going to be here the whole time. Colin was interesting. He's such an interesting person. The more I find out about him, you know, the way his brain works is different. He's like, I haven't been thinking about the offseason at all. We've just been thinking. In fact, a lot of the players said in their interviews yesterday, we're still kind of in mode where we feel like we should be preparing for a game and getting ready for a game because they're kind of in that motion and that rhythm from being in it for months now. And Colin's like, man, I don't even know. I haven't nothing planned. I haven't even decided where I'm going. Obviously, I'm going to go back home and see friends back in South Carolina. You know, we're going to travel as a team. We're going to go to places. That was a big thing that was emphasized yesterday in their exit interviews, that the team will be getting together and staying connected throughout the summer and working together as a unit, which is a huge plus. It is actually something huge that adds to our chemistry and our ability to play off each other better and better every year. And yeah, Colin, it's interesting because Colin, the one thing he said was this summer is going to be more organized for me because last year it was about the draft and figuring out and orienting myself to you're in the NBA, you're on the Raptors, and you know some of it's very orientation and new and just learning NBA lifestyle. And in the second summer, the first summer between seasons, you know, there's a lot more of a poignant or directed, concentrated idea of your off-season work and what you're trying to achieve and what you're shaping yourself to be. So that's the interesting thing about this. You know, Colin came in really kind of raw and he, you know, obviously showed good stuff all season and then really good stuff in the playoffs. But this was all on raw natural potential. You know, Darko in his interview with him, the coach's interview where it's private and they're in and they're talking to each other and he's telling him what he wants to work on. You know, he can really direct him in the right ideas and skills and things to really take it to the next level. It's like Scotty said in his interview. It's like I don't even totally understand who I'm going to be because Darko has a vision for me and I just trust him. And we go through the ideas for how to develop me further in the summer and I just go do the work. And then in some ways, I'm pleasantly surprised about what we discover and who I become. So if you think about that kind of phenomenon with Barnes, let's think about it with Murray-Boyles. And what is Darko going to tell him to work on this summer? And, you know, that's the thing. If he's got a direction to work in and he has goals, we're going to have to find out how quick Murray-Boyles' DeRozan code enacts itself to continue to get better every year. You know what I'm saying? And how much traction and momentum and gains Colin can get it in the off season, and with guidance of the Raptors coaching staff telling him this is what you want, we want you to work on and become more like or do this. Scotty, Scotty's funny, man, with all this kind of stuff. Like he is excited about the offseason and getting in more work and becoming better. His goals, as he said yesterday, are to win. That's all he cares about now. He just wants to win. And, he wants to devise and think of all the different ways this summer to come back better to help his team win even more. And it really has been the cat out of the bag as far as Scotty calling his own number at 4 and going to get his own offense mixed in with the passing to his teammates and getting them involved too. And he very clearly stated yesterday, Brandon went out, the responsibility and the onus went on me more, and I had to take up the slack, and I had to get out there and produce more. That this is important, and I had to carry the team. Yeah, Scotty, man, Scotty's in a good place, man. He seems really, really happy. And the Raptors are such a good unit. They're going to be around each other a lot this summer, and they're going to be learning and doing the right things to get right and do the right stuff as a team. That's right. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm glad Colin is going to stick around because obviously he needs to go do some summer fun in Toronto, whether it's Canada's Wonderland or Carabana or any of the great festivals and events that go on in Toronto during the summer. Yeah, Colin's excited about that. It does seem like he does want to be around the city in the summer quite a bit this summer. So it sounds like he's going to be in Toronto a lot. Yeah. G saying, sorry, Lex and Trevor. Thank goodness and WNBA plays in the summer because yikes, all this complaining already. Yeah, it wasn't a good look. I mean, she's Latvian, like Porzingis. So maybe a little prickly, maybe a little weird with her personality. When I scouted her, I was like very impressed with her. I went back and looked at her University of South Florida highlights, and I looked at her rookie highlights from last year from Mercury. And I mean, she's a good shooter, but to me, in some ways, her and Lexi are kind of a similar player. And honestly, if you're gonna have one with a very good attitude, that's just very smiley and just like very good interview and a good representative of our team, and not so kind of like weird, I would pick Lexi Held. That's who I would pick. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It could very well be that Laura's going to get cut, and it's just Laura. Because in some ways, if you're looking at the pecking order of the players that are involved in the Tempo roster right now, she's kind of the one that's kind of the easiest to cut. But I don't want them to because she has such a bubbly, positive attitude, and she really has been working her butt off. But working your butt off in preseason and doing well in preseason obviously don't mean everything to the Tempo because Liz Balagoon got said bye-bye. So, yeah, we have to see how this all works out here. It's interesting. Kaloy's here. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. There you go. Good morning, Kaloy. G saying, I can't do trivia because I'm usually driving at the same time, and my wrist is still messed up even if not driving, so I watch as a retired vet with pride. This is awesome. Yeah, G's name's right here on the trophy. And you haven't really been an active player since your first year playing. I know you dabble in it. You'll come in and you'll get a question here or there for the season. But I also appreciate because you were a very serious competitor. Just like every year, there's always somebody who's just crazy competitive. The first year was G, second year was David, third year was Amit, and last year it was Smooth. It was Smooth. And, the 4 trivia champions from before, they really earned their championships. They kicked a lot of ass to get it. And, well, this year's probably going to be Fiercey, and she'll get her name added to the trophy in the middle as the 5th ever Raptor Freak Trivia champion of this channel. Yeah, we're just keep adding plaques. And once again, we got to thank former Commissioner of Trivia, David, for donating the trophy and the system for putting the trivia up there. He'd probably be very pleased that I'm still using this and that this is something that's still going on in this channel. Yeah, David, thank you once again. Salute. I know that falling out happened, but still, I respect you and you're a good guy. It's just I can't be having no Elon ass kissers on my channel. Nope, no Elon ass kissers in this channel. Nope. Elon Musk is not a good person. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, G, you are a good retired vet of the trivia. That's right. Cool Cat is here. Coach Cool Cat, good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Sending love vibes to my community members whose loved ones have passed. May their memories be forever celebrated. That's the greatest honor. Yeah. In some ways, my tribute to my grandmother is keeping her gardens going. Somebody wasn't out here taking care of her garden for like a decade. And fortunately, some of the stuff that she planted so long ago is still here and thriving. And in some ways, I'm tending to it now. And I'm going to bring back her old vegetable garden and make it grow, flourish, and be abundant once again. It really hasn't been grown since the 2000s. So this is a big deal. In some ways, that's the legacy that I carry for her is growing the beautiful vegetables and flowers and plants that she loved to grow out here where I live in the past. So yeah, that's part of it right there. And I spent a lot of time yesterday planting stuff in her honor because of that. That's right. Yeah, fiercely saying condolences to you and your family, Trevor. Yeah, that sucks. I know Trevor's family is very big. They're very big men, like his children. Trevor's sons are giants. Let's just put it that way. So I'll bet that Trevor's big brother was not just a big brother as a size, but just a big heart and a big good person. Seriously, if he's anything like his younger brother, I know Trevor's older brother was a good man. That's right. That's right. That's what I would say. UC saying this. Michael Grange reported that Grady is open to a trade, letting us get some cap space. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by that. You know, I'm not surprised by that. I think that Grady miscalculated on a couple things. If we really think on misguided miscalculation was the number one was, did he play in summer league last year? Like seriously, I think I remember last year for some reason, maybe Grady only played one summer league game, but he barely played summer league, right? And that may have been a fatal mistake right there. In some ways, he may have been thinking from starting for the Raptors most of the year before this year that he was above going to training camp, not training camp, but to summer league in Vegas and playing for the Raptors summer league team, even though he's a second year player or the third year player, actually. It didn't make any sense to me. I mean, in some ways, that helped Walter get a leg up on him. I think playing in the summer league, and Grady didn't. So I don't know. It's a weird season for Grady, and the energy around his parents is weird in the arena. Let's just put it that way. And I'm not surprised by this. So you're saying Grange has already said this? Let me go look. Breaking news. I want to see if this is true. Right on the breaking news right here. Where is Grange? Am I following Grange anymore? Maybe I stopped following Grange because he pissed me off one day. Let me see if I can find him real quick. Michael Grange, what are you saying, my guy? Let's see. It's not tweeted or anything. Man, this sounds like a rumor. This sounds like a rumor. I don't know if this is actually official. So yeah. All right, let's see. Anyway, let's keep going. Trevor's saying, thanks, guys. At the same time, it was hard for me. And to this day, I still miss him, but I know he's good. Well, that's one of the things I keep telling myself is that if she has any physical suffering right now because of her body and what it's going through, that it'd be nice for her to not have that. And then also, my grandfather, he passed away in like 1985, like way back. So it's like they've been 40 years apart. So in some ways, she'll go back to being with him after being away from each other for a long, long time. So that's something that's special and gives you kind of comfort too. You know what I'm saying? And well, they'll be buried next to each other, and that's important too. That's important too. Yeah, UC saying it was a report he made last night or yesterday. Oh, okay, about the team. Okay, well, this could be speculation by him. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Grady to be asking for a trade, possibly. The way this season went for him, the opportunity kind of blocked for him, and he could go to the Hornets, and who knows, he could be almost a starter for them. He could go to a really bad team, and they would probably play the hell out of him. So, in some ways, maybe this is a smart decision for his career. Maybe not smart for him winning an NBA championship or getting any high level of winning, but maybe he goes to a bad team and he gets way more minutes, kind of like he was on the Raptors when they were a bad team, getting a lot of minutes. It's kind of like that. Medved Ted's here. Good morning, Medved Ted. Grady may need a change of scenery. He should have stayed another year in college. Too quick to get the NBA. I agree with this. Honestly, he would have been smart with NIL to take the full 4 years in Kansas. I mean, you were a rock star in Kansas, Grady. You were a big fish in a little pond. And in some ways, Kansas people would have been happy if you'd hung around and played for the Jayhawks more than just 1 year. I think that's where he messed up is that, kids honestly, NIL will be better for the college just because it'll keep kids in school longer, I think, in some ways. And that's something right there. Seymour saying maybe Messiah will try to persuade them away from the war. That's what I was thinking too, but I don't think he has that kind of persuasion or power. If he does, holy crap, Nobel Peace Prize. Oh my gosh. If he could do that, which I don't think he can, trust me, you got to understand how these Zionists think. They are, this is a holy war, whatever that they've been saying has been going on for hundreds of years or whatever, and all this BS. And it really is, it's you or us. And there's no kind of, it's so dumb. It's so fundamentalist dumb, the whole thing about it. I mean, if he's able to do something like that in some sort of way, wow, he's a powerful statesman. He's a powerful influence if he can. But I wouldn't hold my breath. It's more likely that this is what it is. It's that the Adelson family and Dumont are using Masai for PR to not look so bad because of that aspect of them, that aspect that sends money to genocide. And Masai can be the good face that they show as far as look at his benevolence with Giants of Africa and look at his humanitarian work and look at his idolizing of Mandela and all these other things. Like, yeah, he can be the cover up, and that's why in some ways I feel like he's being used by them. And also I could say maybe it's like, what are you doing, Masai? You selling out, right? Do you understand this? I mean, because we can see this, the veil's lifted. We know who you work for. And what is your whole goal of being there? Is it just to make like 20 million a year and enrich yourself and your family? Okay. Well, in some ways, it's not that you're as idealistic or pure as I thought you were then. I got to remember the money he was making in Toronto was a lot. But also at the same time, the platforms and the things he stood for and the work that he did outside the Raptors, because there's a lot of clues that Keith Pelley and Ed Rogers hated the Giants of Africa work and the humanitarian stuff. Because when Keith Pelley dismissed Masai Ujiri, he said, we want basketball people to work on basketball stuff. And the confusion a lot of people have about Masai and Bobby's different roles is they thought that they were doing the same job. There's a lot of this confusion on social media right now saying, well, didn't they just do the same thing? Because, there's a lot of bots that are out there and people they're trying to forward the view of the whole thing from Ed Rogers' standpoint. And Ed Rogers' standpoint was we don't need to pay two people to do the same job. But they didn't do the same job. That's the thing. And that's the thing that nobody gets. The thing is that Masai didn't really do basketball stuff. He did culture stuff. He ran our team from the image of it and the look of it and the advertising and the feel of it. And we can already tell the change in a year of Pelly, the more commercialization of it with WWE night and the Bills and the tailgate party and all this stupid stuff that, Masai controlled the image of the Raptors and built the We the North brand and built the money that it's worth to make it so many billions of dollars worth franchise. And well, Keith Pelley comes in and he says, we want basketball people to do basketball stuff. That means Bobby Webster, you are the GM and the head of basketball operations. You will control the trades. You will control signing. You will control scouting. You control everything basketball, but no more of controlling the feel, the look, the culture of the team like Masai was controlling. And that's the thing. Things like what happened Sunday afternoon with the Leafs announcement of Sundin and that hack that they just hired as the GM would never have happened if Masai was still around and in charge. He would have been strongly in the middle of the organization with Larry Tannenbaum standing next to him and saying, no, you will not announce this today on the Game 7 of the Raptors. You will wait till Monday. He was quality control. He was quality check. And the quality of the brand of the Raptors is going to go more commercialized, and it's all going to be about making money every which way they can and less about social justice and humanitarian, Black Lives Matter buses, and Giants of Africa. That's it. I mean, one of the signs about it will be, will Adelson let Masai do his social programs in Dallas? Is there even a want for people in Dallas for that? The market's completely different than Toronto. It's not a very progressive place, Dallas, Texas. And you got to wonder whether Masai Ujiri doing some of the stuff that he liked to do, social justice wise, honoring Mandela, Giants of Africa, basketball without borders, all that kind of stuff. Is that going to be allowed by Adelson and the Mavericks ownership with Patrick Dumont? I don't know. That's the thing. Well, those are the kind of things I'll be paying attention to. How much is Masai going to bring up the valuation of the Mavericks? How much will he be allowed to? Because in some ways, the success of the Raptors and we the North era and what he built with that culture and that feel, he had complete control of it. He didn't have anybody meddling with him. In some ways, Ed Rogers was on a leash because he wasn't the full owner, and he couldn't just dictate from his position. He had to work with Bell and Larry Tannenbaum in the middle of them to make decisions. And quite often, Masai Ujiri and Larry Tannenbaum and Bell were ganging up on Ed Rogers and saying, no, you're the minority vote and you don't get to decide this. So Masai got his way for most of the 12 years he was running the Raptors because of that power structure. And well, as soon as Bell got bought out, and Rogers bought their chunk, and Larry became a minority owner, and Rogers flipped to the majority owner. Well, Masai's shown the door, and Keith Pelly's now turning the Raptors into a money machine any which way you can with the branding and the different things like that. No quality control anymore. And that's the difference. Bobby was doing the trades and the front office work pretty much for the last 8 years already. And Masai was the big picture guy. He was the one looking at the whole big picture, the feel of the Raptors, the attractiveness of the Raptors, the branding of the Raptors. That was all Masai. And I think if you look at that energy applied to the Mavericks, how can they rebrand the Mavericks in that kind of way in that market? I don't see it. So that makes you kind of start to think, well, is Ujiri just going there solely to be the executive and make them basketball moves like he did in Denver and he started in Toronto? Because at some point he was still involved in basketball moves and making decisions, sure, but he wasn't the one who was doing the job completely. It was Bobby who was doing the GM work, and Masai was more of an advisor. So I don't know. Once again, I'll question Masai's ability to work independently with Patrick Dumont and his history with Nico Harrison and what happened with their team since that ownership group has taken over the Mavericks from Mark Cuban. That this would be a real headache for Michael Masai Ujiri, having to deal with Patrick breathing down his shoulders and kind of telling him what to do anyway. Because that's not how Masai works best. He works best when he's independent and he's allowed to be the end of all buck stops here kind of person. And that's why he was successful here. But he could get all screwed up because of the ownership structure in Dallas. That's what I'm saying. I have so many questions about this. I really, really do. I'll bet you money they paid him $20 million a year to do this. He was paid $15 million a year. He's going to get a pay up to come back and be back in basketball. And well, they're going to pay him $20 million because they're going to try and fix the team and also have a fresh face that's positive and popular with people to help Mavs fans feel happier and maybe even to deal with the PR damage that a genocidal owner causes. I think that's a lot of the picture right there, what I just described. Yeah, Ujiri was the front man. Webster did the grunt work. Well, Webster was the money guy and the salary cap expert. Ujiri was the scout. Ujiri was the guy who kind of had an idea of the feeling. And, let's not get it twisted. Masai can go to a gym anywhere and watch players play, and he can scout them himself. And he's a good eye himself. And that's part of the thing that's going to help the Mavs. But that's weird because in some ways, what do you want in Dallas? Do you want a culture reset? Do you want a guy who's just going to scout for you and do your basketball operations? Because that's the thing. He can do either one of those. And what was his title again? It's like a lead management or something like that. It's something crazy. But either way, he's not fully in charge. And that's the problem. That's going to be the problem in Dallas. He's not the man who's fully in charge. Patrick is. And that's going to be the monkey wrench right there. That's going to throw everything off right there. Yeah, let's see. Okay, let's see. Where are we with this? Okay, wow, you guys filled it up a bit while I was just talking. That's interesting. All right, let me see. This is the quote when I'm on. Kaloy saying, I'm really sick and tired of people complaining about the Yak contract. Let the guy rest this offseason. Don't let him play FIBA and see next year. Barnes wanted Yak as his five. That's why they paid him. I knew it when we got Yak back. I told Scotty and Twitch, I said, you're going to love playing with Yak, man. Yak's going to be like your best friend, bro. And I was right. Scott loves playing with Yak. That's the thing. We want to keep Scotty happy. You want to keep the guys that are working with him. And once again, one part of the value of Pirtle with the Raptors is accrued knowledge of knowing each other very well already over years. You know, he knows Scott's proclivities, and Scotty knows Yak. That accrued experience of time spent together is valuable. And when you switch guys out, like you think you just switch in a light bulb, you lose a lot of that accrued gelling and chemistry. And there's a lot of knowledge that's already in there with Yak in this group. And that's why, in some ways, it's not as casual as saying, he sucks, get him out of here. Let's get somebody better. Well, who's to say that person would be better? Whether they would fit in with Scott the way that Yak does, or whether they'd have the IQ to fit in fast enough. There's all kinds of different questions. And in some ways, I'm a big philosopher that says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, some say it is broke. Its back is messed up. The thing that Yak said yesterday in his exit interview was his back was worse at the beginning of the season, and it was better at the end of the season. What? Wait, the grind of the NBA season actually helped him get his back better. Now, some of it I think is a lie because I think he was moving bad in the playoffs at times, and he may have been hurt and they weren't telling the truth. But I believe him when he says he had better back health near the end of the season than the beginning of the season, you know? And another thing that Yak told us yesterday that people need to understand and maybe listen to this. And once again, this is the humanistic side of our players. They're not just guys who play basketball and make millions of dollars and run around the court. They're human beings. And Yak talked about the nature of his injury this year with his back and how it was so question mark as far as the length of how long he'd be out. There was no clear timetable, just like how we were dealing with it on this channel. When's Yak coming back? When's Yak coming back? They told us Yak would be back before Christmas, and he's still out, and it's in the middle of January. You know, we were talking about that months ago. You know, just as much as we were confused and upset about it, he was too, as an individual in the middle of it. Like, that's got to be scary. You know, he's hearing all the noise, and people are saying, we want Yak back. We need him back. His back's messed up. He wants to be healthy. He wants to earn his contract. He wants to be out there to help the Raptors win. And in some ways, you're in this impossible situation where the doctor's saying, we have no idea when you'll be able to play again. There's no clear timeline. That's got to fuck with your brain. Think about that. And Yak admitted yesterday that he's been utilizing the Raptors mental health therapist to deal with all this and go through this. Man, if that isn't something that's so poignant, seeing as he's the guy who got traded with DeMar DeRozan to San Antonio. And that Raptors fans, listen, this is a human being. He needed mental health help this season because of his injury and what it was putting him through mentally. So let's have a heart and let's stick with our guys. This is part of the reason why the trade talk's outlawed here. This is part of the reason why I'm sick of throwing our players on the bus just willy-nilly just because you want to write a comment on there. They have feelings. And this dude wanted to dutifully be on the court for us, but he couldn't. So he had to seek counseling because he was so distraught about this. So Raptors fans, be nice to Yak. Understand, this guy is not perfect, but honestly, he is one of the better centers in this league when he's healthy. And we want him to be healthy. We have a great medical staff. They're going to get him back on track. And honestly, I'm so proud of him that he was able to get out on the court in the second half of the season and play most of it. And even if he wasn't 100% and he was getting derision from fans, that man was still out there battling for us and taking elbows to the face and scratches to the shoulders and stuff like that. So have a little bit of class and respect for somebody who's out there who's getting beat up for our team. And, you know, you guys can think whatever you want about him being washed or no good or something like that. You're wrong. Because listen to what Scotty said. That's what I say right there. Listen to what Scotty said. That's the thing. Smooth saying those Mavs owners are hard TP people. No reasoning with them. Yeah. Yeah. I'll bet you right there. I mean, this is the thing, man. If you know the history of the Adelson family, you know where Sheldon is buried. You know all about where they come from and their ties to Israel. There's no breaking those ties, Messiah. If you're going in there to try and beat it from within and you're going to try and reason with her, you can't reason with her. First of all, she's ancient. She's very old. And an old dog don't learn new tricks very easy. And she is a dog, trust me. A dog of war, a dog of genocide. And in some ways, it's like, man, how can you hobnob or rub shoulders for them or even try and help them make profits? Because once again, Masai, you make money for the Mavs, you make the valuation of the Dallas Mavericks go up like you did the Raptors. You're funding the genocide of the Palestinian people. And that's a conflict of interest to me. You know, I wouldn't have taken that job. You know, I wish you had taken the Laker job. Seriously. You should be in charge of the Los Angeles Lakers next year, Masai Ujiri, not the Mavericks. This is a mess, man. Masai wants that money. That's right. Masai wants that money, God money. He worships God money more than I thought. I mean, he is made of a lot of money at this point. Maybe it's just addictive. Certain point, you make so much money, you're just like, I want more. When is enough enough? Seriously, very rich people in this world. Seriously, this isn't a video game. You're not going to win some score or something like that at the end and get a cut scene. Oh, you won the video game because you scored so much money. No, in some ways, you guys are going to hell because that's Antichrist. Christ says, give to everyone and share. Have a long table and invite them all here. You know, if you have a lot of money and you're hoarding it and you just are worried about getting another billion, you're out of touch with the reality of most people in this world. And in some ways, that's sad. In some ways, I don't want to think that a hero like Masai Ujiri worships God money like he does, but he does. It's sadly true. He's a capitalist through and through. And in some ways, he's going to just worship God money because he's got a lot already. And well, he's going to get a lot more. And well, is he going to fund genocide? Yes, this seems to be the case. And in some ways, I'm extremely disappointed with Masai Ujiri. That's what I'll say right there. That's right. Kaloy saying one thing at least, he's out west and he can be a trading partner with Bobby. Yeah, that's a plus. That's a plus. That's right. That's a plus right there. Yeah. Kaloy saying I cringed a bit yesterday when I found out Masai signed with the Adelsons. I know. I know. It's really, really bad. It's really not with his character, honestly. It's sad to see. It's sad to see. Kaloy saying this also. But the Adelsons is really a bitter taste. Closest things to supervillains in today's world. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're responsible for thousands of people losing their lives. They are directly responsible. They are a direct, proud funder of thousands of people losing their lives, if not hundreds of thousands. Like they're butchers. And in some ways, being associated with war criminals and butchers of Masai Ujiri, I mean, Kajeme, that's somebody that they talk about already about with you and a genocidal guy. So are you hanging out with genocidal people? Is that just a thing now, Masai? Like in some ways, this is, man, this is so fucked up. You lose a lot of respect for him. In some ways, I'll never forget or I'll always be thankful to Masai for what he did for the Toronto Raptors. But, you know, I may give him a pass on his going forward stuff, but I'm ashamed of him right now. I'm ashamed of him. I'm literally ashamed of him right now. I really am. Let's see. Smooth saying Dallas is a Republican city. It does have an emerging African population, though. Well, you know what? I don't know what the purpose is. Some of y'all hinted that the move is to Vegas next. This is true that Miriam Adelson would like to shut down the Dallas Mavericks and move them to Vegas and put that franchise in Las Vegas because that's where her casinos are and that's where her base of operations is. It really was she just wanted a foot in the door on any NBA franchise and that she would move that team to Las Vegas was the plan all along. So it's like this may not be good for Mavericks fans either way. And Masai may end up running the Las Vegas NBA team after all. Because some people had hinted on that being a possibility. And well, that's how it would work right there. So they may lose their team in Dallas, which is crazy because it's been an NBA team for like over 50 years. And it's you know, it's kind of got it's a team with history. It's got a championship with Dirk. And there's a lot of classic old history with the Mavericks in Dallas. And Dallas fans lose their team like the Oakland A's, stuff like that. That's sad shit. That's sad shit right there. Yeah. G saying, do these same owners own the Wings? If so, isn't this a conflict of interest with the Tempo? I don't know if they own the wings. People were asking about this because, all right, here we go. This is the Toronto Tempo Redditor of the day, guys. I want to do this real quick. Front Butt McGee. Front Butt McGee is this is a McGee, Adriana. Front Butt McGee is the Toronto Tempo Redditor of the day. And their question is Masai still with the Tempo? Does anyone know, with Masai accepting the job with the Mavs, if he still keeps his position with the Tempo? I'd assume he leaves completely, but I'm not 100% sure on the details. All right, this is what I'm going to say right now. He's not leaving the Tempo. A lot of people have been confused about his role on the Tempo. Everybody sees Masai associated with the Tempo, and they think he's running the team like he ran the Toronto Raptors. He's not running the team. Teresa Resch is running the team for the Tempo. Teresa Resch is Masai Ujiri for the Toronto Tempo. Masai is not running the team. He's not drafting. He's not scouting. He's an owner. He's only involved as far as like Ed Rogers is involved in the Raptors. He's involved as Larry Tannenbaum is involved in the Tempo and the Raptors. He is an owner. And in some ways, he's there as mentor and maybe a pep talk. And maybe he can be a resource at times. It can be helpful. Maybe Monica Wright Rogers calls him in the office and say, Masai, can you help me with looking at this player real quick? Oh, sure, Monica. I'll come in and look at the player with you real quick. But he's not really running anything. He could be an advisor, but he's an owner. He's owning the Tempo. And that's not a conflict of interest. I don't know if the Adelsons own the wings also, maybe, but it could very well be that that's separated there too, and that Masai has nothing to do with that team. And he's just working with the NBA and the Mavs. So I think that that's the whole way it's working. Everybody's confused about this. Oh, no, he's got a job with the Mavs. Did he leave the Tempo already? No, because his job with the Tempo isn't really a job. He's an owner. What do owners do? They sit back and let the money collect. They don't actually do any work. So Masai Ujiri has no job with the Tempo. He's an owner. And that's what people need to remember over and over again with this. So, yeah, that's our Toronto Tempo Redditor of the day. Front Butt McGee. Is it a full ass at least? Oh, so funny, man. All right, let's see. Medved Ted saying Coach Darko is end of the season interviews going right now. Is coming up on the YouTube channel. Yeah, that's the interview I care about. We can hear Masai answer some of the questions later on, but we want to hear Darko talk about the season and Bobby Webster. Yeah, I missed Masai talking today for the Raptors. This is when he would have been out there talking right now. Keith Pelly had one of his ugly press conferences yesterday, taking questions from the Leafs and reporters about this new hire. And apparently this guy he picked is a guy from the Coyotes, and he's a scam artist. It's like the reporters were asking Keith Pelly in the interview, we called 20 different executives around the NHL, and every single one of them had a horrible thing to say about this guy you just hired. It's so crazy. And Keith's like, I guess I should have talked to them. I talked to him myself. I did my own due diligence, and he's fine. He's great. He's great. And it's like, wait, but Keith, man, this doesn't make sense, Keith Pelly. You're going to go ahead and hire a guy that's unpopular around the NHL? How the hell are you going to do any deals if nobody likes this motherfucker? He's going to be calling people and saying, hey, Red Wings, can we talk to you real quick about that defenseman you just got from Sweden? No. Click. What is this? You're a moron, Keith Pelly. And it sounds like Leaf Nation's up in arms about the hiring of this dude. I don't even know how to say his last name. I don't care. And the Matt Sundin thing is just to appease fans and make something. Woo, Matt Sundin's involved in the front office somehow. Woo. Keith Pelly, you're failing, bro. In fact, I would say yesterday may have been one of the most epic fail days of MLSE's history, because of the hiring of the new GM of the Leafs and how much of a mess that seems like. That's a horrible decision. Leaf fans are not thrilled about this hire. Let's just put it that way. Not as much as Mavericks fans are thrilled today. And, well, Masai Ujiri showing up on Dallas Mavericks the same day. Yeah, that's a big L day for MLSE. You put the L in caps. And this one, Rogers and Pelly. Yeah, big L, MLSE. Big L yesterday when Masai off to Mavericks, you idiot, and you hired a moron to run the Leafs. Yeah, Catch that L, Keith Pelly. Did I ruin your weekend, Leaf fans? I waited till Monday to ruin your weekend. Yeah, it's moronic. It is what it is. That's right. Let's keep going. Neil's saying this. Don't worry about what people say about Jakob's pay. He is here while Colin is on his rookie contract, so Colin and future center can learn from him. Jakob can become the new Temple. Yeah, I don't know about that. It's not really his personality. It's not really his personality to be the Temple. But man, listen, we just want to once again, we're fans. We're for our team. We root for our guys. Let's stay positive for them. They're human beings. We want to look out for them. That's what it is right there. That's what it is right there. More fans should think of the NBA players as human beings that have feelings and have lives and have people that love them, and they love people too. That's right. Ibrahim's here. He's a Pistons fan. Pistons will avenge our Raptors brethren tonight. Haha. There you go. There you go. I said earlier in the stream, and maybe I should take it back. I could see the Cavs beating you guys, but really it's important that you guys handle their main three guys. I don't include Allen, but you got to handle Harden, Mitchell, and Mobley. You guys handle those guys, you'll win this series. Seriously. We handled them mostly pretty good. It's just there was a lot of things we had to overcome. Youth and inexperience, a ref hit job, association hit job, and injuries. We had a lot of injuries, important injuries with Brandon and IQ out. It was tough for the Raptors to get the deal done, but we lasted 7 games and we softened them up for you guys. You guys took 7 games to beat Orlando too. Yeah, maybe I should root for you guys, especially since Ibrahim is here and he's shown an interest of the Raptors Freak channel and he's been a nice Pistons fan. You know what? I'm going to throw some support to you guys. I hope you guys do kick the Cavs' ass tonight. Yeah, I'm rooting for you guys tonight. I am. Smooth saying, so the tempo position is largely symbolic, right? He's an owner. He's the same position as Serena Williams. Does that make sense? What is Serena Williams doing for the tempo? She's a name. She's associated. She's an owner. Well, Masai's the same position as Serena Williams. Everybody who thought Masai was running the tempo, shame on you. Teresa Resch is the one who's running the tempo. Masai Ujiri is Larry Tannenbaum now for the tempo. He's just like Larry. He sits in an owner chair next to Larry and Serena Williams. That is the job right there. That's right. Blackhawks saying Mavs fan base is too big to relocate. Cooper Flag is a big draw. Yeah, they're not. It's not going to be up to them, Neil. When do the owners care about that? They don't care about that. No, they will move that team because she wants to, because she has plans to integrate an NBA team into a casino with an arena and have a whole big sports betting extravaganza site inside one of her existing casinos. And the Aces are already there. So they want to have an NBA team in Vegas. And it was going to be an expansion team, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe the NBA expands to Seattle and another city, and they move Dallas out of Dallas to Las Vegas. That's what the owners wanted to do from the start. They promised Mark Cuban they wouldn't move it, but do we believe genocidal idiots? No, they lie to your face and say ceasefire, and then they come in and steal your house. So it's like, yeah, they promised Mark they wouldn't move the team, but they want to. And there's articles out there and there's people saying they want to move this team to Vegas so bad. So if they can do it, they will. So it's not about the Mavs fans. They don't give a shit about the people in Dallas. They don't care if they come with them. They've already pissed them off by trading Luka and doing the Nico Harrison stuff. They don't care about the people in Dallas. They never did. The people that bought it's like the opposite. You went from the best owner in the league that is absolutely a true fan and treats his team in the right way, the model for how all owners were, to absolutely the worst ownership you could possibly have, is basically what happened to Dallas. Trevor's saying Jacoby says he's going to put in the work this summer. Yeah, all of them are saying this. They kind of put hints on what they would work on. Shed's going to do a similar routine this summer to IQ last year. IQ worked really hard on those drives to the paint with the little floaters and the little short shots. And Shed said he's going to be putting major work on that in the lab this year. That and his three-point shooting, continuing to make that better too. So, yeah, it would be cool to be a fly on the wall in Darko's office for the player interviews on the exit and him going over the things that he wants them to concentrate on. It'd be very interesting to sit in that room and listen to him explain, now, this is what I want you to do this summer. In June, this. In July, this. In August, this. Sandro said that hopefully, this is what he's going to do. He's going to go back to Georgia and spend family time and also get some good Georgian food that he misses. But he's going to come back to New Jersey, and he'll be in New Jersey at his home base there until July. And by July, his agent and the Raptors and whatever's going to figure out where he's supposed to be in the NBA. And he said he was very coy about it. Like the signs are there that he does really want to be back in Toronto, but also he's open to the possibility that he may have to go somewhere else and there's a better fit. So his language was very well spoken, but he does really love Toronto and he does really love being on this team. So there are a lot of things in our favor to retain Sandro. And it did even sound like he doesn't care about taking the most money, because he did readmit yesterday that, I took less money to come to Toronto last year. I could have gotten paid more by another team and gone to a different team this year that just went by. But I took less money because the opportunity was here. And I'm glad I did, because it was exactly what I hoped it would be. And he said also that he likes that Darko lets him be himself on the court. So there's a lot of stuff leaning Sandro to retaining being a Raptor for next year. We'll have to see. Once again, this could be a factor in this. And Bobby, what he can give him may be the factor, or what another team is willing to give him could be a factor. That's right. Smooth saying, I'll tell you this, Bobby Webster isn't going to get got by Masai. Well, if anything, I mean, I guess in some ways Dolan should be worried, because now he's got both of them in different places where they could both fleece him. I wonder if New York Knicks will do any deals with the Mavericks going forward. Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. That's hilarious, man. Kaloy saying, I think this hiring will get Keith Pelly fired. That's an interesting take. You know what I think this is, Kaloy, with the hiring of the GM for the Leafs? I think he's a yes man. I think that he's somebody that Rodgers and Pelly can very much control. And that's the most important thing to them. It's not about whether they're good at the job. It's basically, can this guy be a puppet and I have my hand up his ass and I'm controlling him? I think that's what this is. I don't think it has anything to do with whether he's good at the job or not. I think it just has to do with whether he's ready to kiss Keith and Ed Rodgers' ass. I think that's what it is. Because honestly, he's a horrible hire. His reputation is absolute horrible. The things that I heard about what he did in Phoenix when he was running the Coyotes, it's really bad. And hopefully you're right. Maybe this is what's true. But then again, sometimes the known evil is better than the unknown evil. And maybe Keith Pelly's fine where he is, because we can kind of deal with him because we know he's going to be like. And if he does get fired, who knows if the next guy is better than him? It could be worse. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about it. Smooth saying Ujiri is the enemy now. Just the reality of it for me. Yeah, and some of it is just basically he's a Mavs guy now. He's not on the Raptors team anymore. And his energy, his charisma, his powers are going towards helping that franchise get a championship, not ours. That's something we have to come to grips with right now, Raptors fans. He is the enemy because he does work for another NBA team, but gladly he's in the Western Conference, at least. It'd be a whole other thing if he's heading one of the Eastern teams against us in our own conference. So that does matter right there. And that's the mistake Nick made right there. Seymour saying this, I really hope Yak gets fully healthy. Yeah, it's going to be like, this summer could be very good for him. Some of the stuff these guys are all saying is a lot of strength training. Sandro wants to get stronger. Jacoby wants to get stronger. Colin wants to get stronger. Yak, he could strengthen his back doing certain kind of workout regimens that could actually really help his back health if he does things in a very monitored, smart sports science way that these experts in sports training know how to do back strengthening for people with a bad back. So I'm sure that's a lot of his routine for the summer. That's right. Kaloy saying, we'll sacrifice a live goat for Yak's back. I know you will. You're not even saying that because you do this. You will take a goat and you will cut it open to be cooking it. So I know that, all right, you're going to do this? You promise? Kaloy, you're going to get out there and say, Santino, you're a man now. Here's the knife. Santino's just a little kid. What are you doing? Don't make that kid slit the throat of that goat. Come on now, Kaloy. You will be a man today. You are 4. I mean, what is this? This is crazy. He's advanced. I'm so proud of him. I love Santino. Shout out to Santino, man. That's right. Kaloy saying, oh, yeah, I read that. Seymour saying this. Lex, is DeRozan a top 5 Raptor of all time? What's your list? Well, he's number 1 or 2 for me, but I'm sentimental in some ways. Man, you got to understand, I look at DeMar as the sacrifice. I look at DeMar as the man who put us on his back and lifted us up to the highest heights. And just at the end, we had to say, sorry, you don't make it all the way here. No, there's the sacrifice that DeMar gave and the way he's rode for us since, even through all the confusion, the depression, the ability to just hate us and say F Toronto forever for what happened. And he can't do that. It's just pure. It's just pure, man. So no, I mean, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, 1A, 1B. It's really what it is. And they flip on certain days. You know, RJ says his favorite Raptors are DeMar. That says a lot right there, right? The DeMar DeRozan led to RJ Barrett. That's the thing right there. So the legacy of DeMar is so important. And then I hear stuff like Scott saying this yesterday, saying, I want to come back every year better. DeRozan code. It's like Scotty's not going to just rest on his laurels being so good as he is now at this point. We see how good he is in these playoffs. No, he has DeRozan code. Scotty's going to go into the offseason looking to make himself even more better for next year. And that's DeRozan code. That's the legacy of DeMar to me, man. And yeah, I have a 4 greatest Raptors of all time. And Kawhi Leonard and Vince Carter are not on that list. They are not on that list. 1A, 1B, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan. Number 3 is Pascal, and number 4 is Fred. Those are the 4 greatest Raptors in the history of the Raptors, in my opinion. Kawhi's disqualified for 1 year. And Vince Carter, I can't say that he's one of the greatest Raptors of all time. He's not a champion. He doesn't have the accolades that these guys have. Even DeMar, he doesn't have the accolades DeMar has. Does Vince Carter have more points than DeMar DeRozan in his career? And he played way longer than DeMar so far. No, he doesn't. So, yeah, DeMar is very important. He's 1A or 1B in my book. That's how I look at it right there. Top 5, those are the 4. I guess I could put Kawhi at 5. I guess. Neil said this. I basically mean, Jakob, be careful with this. You got to put the correct spelling because there's a K in his name. Because it might, well, actually, Jacoby's got the K too. Jakob can be a mentor for bigs. Look at the push shot Colin Murray-Boyles is doing. It's a simple Jakob move. Yeah, I don't think Yak has anything to do with that. That was funny. Somebody mentioned that yesterday in the interview. I think it was Sandro said, yeah, Colin all of a sudden showed up with the push shot that we didn't know about. Oh, why didn't you show this all year? All of a sudden he's got a push shot. I think it was Shed or Walter or somebody said something about it. Maybe it was IQ. I don't know. Somebody was talking about Colin showing his push shot in the playoffs all of a sudden after not doing it all season. Yeah, that's not necessarily anything to do with Jakob. That's just the style of the shot. Doesn't mean he learned it from him. I'll bet you that Colin Murray-Boyles did a bunch of push shots when South Carolina, a lot of them. That's right. Fierce's got Yak on blast. I love it. If Emmanuel misses more than 10 games next season, I'm going to be pissed. Why? In some ways, we can't control injuries. Once again, Emmanuel Quickley has been a very healthy player his whole entire life. Last year was an anomaly, and this year it sucked too. But we got to see, this was bad timing. You know what I'm saying? Emmanuel went over this very explicitly in his interview yesterday. The timeline of the hamstring injuries. After the All-Star break, the plantar fasciitis started coming up more. And that is a thing that leads into the hamstring issue. That the plantar fasciitis is connected to it. And, well, he had one really bad sprain, and he wanted to keep playing. And, well, he was in practice like a Friday, not this past Friday, but the Friday before. And he really re-aggravated it in practice. where it was like, yeah, that's when they said he's not coming back for the series, is because he was on track. He was playing in practice and he hurt himself again, had a setback. Now, both Brandon and Emmanuel espoused on being on the bench and not being able to help the team, and they hated it. In fact, Brandon Ingram divulged yesterday that he was going to tell the trainer, no, I'm playing no matter what. And the trainer told him not. No, you're not. So he very much made it very clear he wanted to be out there bad. And if he had had his choice without no trainers in the way, he would have been out there for us in game 7. But the trainer said, this is not good for you long term. There's so much risk with this. Dr. Alex Silver and his crew said, no, Brandon, you're not doing this against your own wishes. So Brandon and Emmanuel, both of them, intimated that they would have been out there even though they were hurt if the medical staff had cleared them and allowed them to. Although IQ didn't say he would have been out there because his injury is pretty bad, honestly. And he wasn't anywhere near being able to come back from what it sounds like. They were asking him, do you think you could have came back for the second round? He said, I have no idea. In some ways, you got to understand the setback that happened in that practice on that Friday. It was really him anticipating coming back fast, and he pushed himself too hard, and it happened that he went in the wrong direction. This is even further away from coming back because of that. That's the way this stuff is, you know that. And I like hearing from both those guys just how unsettled they were, that they couldn't play and they were helpless and they couldn't do anything off the bench. Brandon really wanted to play. And Dr. Alex McKechnie said no. He wouldn't let him. He wouldn't let him. So, yeah, next year, let's just wish good health for Brandon and Emmanuel, regardless. All of them. Jakob, RJ, everybody. Everybody. Scotty, everybody. Seymour saying a lot of teams that we thought was garbage did well because they had players available, Charlotte and Detroit. Well, this is just part of the whole thing. We know the part of getting far in the playoffs is partly luck. It's luck. It's being healthy. It's figuring out matchups and getting a good advantage over the other team and adjustments. There's a lot of factors to this. And in the whole scheme of things, once again, we got to a 7-game series without 2 of our starters, and we were inexperienced and had no playoff experience as a group overall. This is a win. This is really good. And there's so much to build off for this. But I love the language of the guys from the interviews yesterday saying we really saw a path that we could have gone way further in this. And RJ and Yak in particular were talking about, yeah, we really aren't happy with this. Scotty said this wasn't a successful season to him because he feels like they could have gone so much further and done so much more. In some ways, they say, yeah, it was a successful season in relation to the jump we made from last season to this year. Yeah, but in some ways, I don't see it as successful because we just lost a game 7 and we didn't advance the second round. So they have the right mentality about all this. And the building blocks and the stair steps on the escalator up to Larry O'Brien, we stepped a few more steps up in this postseason. So there's nothing to hang your head about. And the players, in some ways, they're saying the right things as far as like, yeah, we're proud of what we accomplished this year, but we didn't feel like we were successful and we're still hungry. And that's the right attitude from those guys. It really is. Neil's saying this. Remember, the Grizzlies fan base had to be so poor in Vancouver to justify the move. League is watching, and move requires league approval. It is not easy to move franchise. Yeah, but you don't understand. Once again, these billionaires, they think they can do whatever the hell they want. Jeff Bezos can shut down or move a historic bridge just to move a mega yacht down a canal in Europe. You know, these people are crazy. They think they can do whatever they want because of this, can buy anything. All they do is pay an extra $5 million to a guy who's in charge of it and grease their palms. And, well, it doesn't matter what the people want anymore. That's the problem with big money in politics. Everything can be bought and sold if you have enough money. And that's things with data centers. That's things with like the stupid Billy Bishop Airport shit with Doug Ford right now. That's Therme Spa. Do you think any of us voted on Therme? Do you think any of us voted for Billy Bishop and this bullshit? No, it's a dictatorial premier of Ontario, ramrodding decisions over public approval just because money speaks money. And that's the big conflict that's coming up right here. This is the big issue that a lot of people have with the United States government system right now is money's buying politics right now. Money is buying elections.
and it's not democratic. And it's you pay for representation. You pay for things to happen. And well, the Adelsons have all the resources in the world to pay to move that team out of there. Don't be naive. You think that these kind of things are going to stop this? No, they won't. No, they won't. They could slide $10 million under the table to Adam Silver. He said, the Dallas Mavericks are moving to Las Vegas. It's exciting. I think it's going to be really good for our global game because Las Vegas is a global hub of tourism and people from all around the world come here. And now they'll be excited to enjoy Las Vegas NBA action. He'll spin it some bullshit way and say, yeah, sorry, Dallas. And they'll say something like, well, Texas already has two teams, San Antonio and Houston. Who cares if the Dallas Mavericks don't exist anymore? And their championship banner goes up in an arena in Las Vegas. I mean, this is just the truth here, Neil. Let's not be naive to what I'm saying here. That's right. Medved saying Adelson tried to lobby to get gambling legalized in Texas. She gave millions to Governor Abbott, but didn't get legislation passed. Now she bought Mavs as leverage to pass legislation or move the team. See, that is part of the. I didn't say that it is true. She's trying to make gambling legal in Texas. It didn't go through. So she bought the team, and now she's trying to move it out there. In some ways, this is just rich people, power hungry, power struggling, flexing their muscles. Oh, I can't do this. Well, I'm going to go and buy this sports team, and I'm going to hold it over your head and threaten you and take the team out of here if I don't get what I want. Yeah, Medved Teds were right on point with this. I heard all this before. I forgot about that. Yeah, Trevor's saying this. Darko says he believes in Grady and got to work on his shooting and come back strong for next season. Okay, so you're watching Darko's press conference right now. I want to react to that tomorrow. So even if you're watching it live right now and you're giving me the cliff notes, in some ways I'd rather compartmentalize the Darko press conference to cover it on the show tomorrow, if that's okay, Trevor. G saying Collins stronger is going to be insane. Stronger mentally, stronger with knowledge, and stronger with muscle in his body, for sure. Kaloy's saying, can we have a lineup that we have a center and then Scotty and Colin Murray-Boyles? That's what I'm saying. That's what Jakob is. That's why we want Jakob. Because like Scotty said, he's a big protector. He's a big muscle guy to be on a tag team with him against the big guys in the league. And it's nice to have a big, huge dude like him that has your back. Scotty has to be the center. Well, that's not ideal. We don't want that. So we have a starting caliber center. His name is Pirtle. He's not perfect, but he's amazing. And our guy, Scotty, loves him. So let him have him. That's what I'm saying. Ibrahim is saying, you guys took the Cavs, the most expensive team in the NBA, to 7 games without BI and IQ. Raptors core is solid. See, I love that. We're getting respect from other fan nations. We're getting respect from NBA general fan. And that's good. Because honestly, we're so under a rock. They don't cover us correctly in the States. And, well, people don't know about our brand of basketball and who we are and how we do things. And they should. I think we're entertaining. I think we're fun to watch. I think Ibrahim would agree with me. So, Adam Silver, why are you hiding the USA from the Raptors? Like, seriously, stop doing this and stop making this stuff up where you guys aren't good enough. In your minds, we're still the purple dinosaurs of Barney, and we're in the 90s still. And we've got John Wallace and John Thomas on our team. No, we have a history. We have decades since then. And we are not an expansion team anymore. We're not a joke. We have been an established Eastern Conference power for like 15 years now, on and off. And I'm just sick of this shit. What is it going to take for us to get a regular spot in the national television schedule for the United States in the years to come? What is it going to take? You're going to say more bullshit saying you don't deserve it. You have to be good enough to do it. Bullshit. You guys are showing teams that are not in the playoffs on TV down there, and you're not showing us. That's what I say right there. That's what I say right there. I really appreciate Pistons Freak being here today. This is good luck for your team. You're going to beat the Cavs tonight. I'm going to tell you right now, partly because you're here with us, and we'll give you some of that Raptor stuff. Okay, Josh Lundberg is saying this on Blue Skies. This is a update really fast. Is saying that Darko just said that Ingram is going to see a specialist this week to learn more about treatment for his heel injury. And also in reference to Quickly's hamstring, same injury as Luka Doncic, will miss a couple more weeks, but shouldn't impact the summer. Expects both to be back on the court in 3 to 4 weeks. So there you go. That's the thing. Y'all were thinking about whether Emmanuel could come back for a second round. It sounds like this man was going to be out for almost a month, matter what. So yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough right there. Yeah, Darko's divulging some stuff right now. We'll get around to seeing what he's saying. That's right. Let me see. All right, let's go to Raptors Redditor of the day is Wasabi Peas 88. Wasabi Peas. Sometimes some of these Reddit names are funny, man. All right, this is what they said. This is an opinion. Went to game 7. Cleveland was so mid. The arena is just so American. The scoreboard is giant, but weirdly, you can't see shit. Seats upstairs feel a million miles away. The PA system sucked. Couldn't really hear anything. They just straight up didn't do the starting lineup for the Raptors at all. I don't know. Just seemed all super American. 6 out of 10. Probably wouldn't go back. I love this. This is like a Reddit review of a Raptor fan going to Cleveland for game 7. And they're just butchering this. Like they have a giant scoreboard, but you can't see it. It's hilarious, man. That's funny. That's your Raptors Redditor of the day. They went to Cleveland and it was so mid. That checks. That checks. That checks. I mean, seriously, that checks right there. That's hilarious, man. It was so mid. I guess we're going to see Pistons fans traveling to Cleveland for this series coming up too, and vice versa. You guys will probably have some Cavs fans at Little Caesars Arena tonight. Y'all, let's do the straight goods on Canadian goods. Guys, it's really important that we support Canadian industry right now. We've done really good because the Canadian economic sector is showing job growth and GDP growth for our whole entire country. You know, elbows up mentality and not spending money on American products and buying more Canadian stuff is working. So keep going in this direction. And as part of this segment, I like to encourage people by giving brand awareness of the truly Canadian brands out there. And today we're talking about butter. We're talking about dairy. We're talking about milk. And there's a collective group in Ontario and in Manitoba called the Gay Lee Foods Group. Gay Lee has roots in the farm, and they've grown to become the leading Canadian cooperative with members in more than 1,200 dairy farms in Ontario and Manitoba. Roughly 3,000 producers and preferred shareholders. Our dedication to innovation and the development of high-quality products has allowed us to respond to consumers' evolving tastes and grow the market for Canadian cow and, more recently, goat milk. We are a Canadian success story, and that story is far from over. Moving from Gay Lee Foods is poised to seize and create even more opportunities for sustainable, long-term growth in the Canadian dairy industry as we expand beyond our provincial borders, grow our foods and ingredients business, and continue to invest in innovative and industry-leading ways. Yeah, this is fantastic. This is part of the sticking point with the U.S. and us is the dairy. We don't take American dairy up here. We do not allow them to ship American dairy to Canada. We buy our own dairy here, and that's right because it supports Canadian dairy farmers and keeping them healthy and strong. And if we added the American dairy, it would flood the market and hurt Canadian dairy workers. So I'm proud of Gay Lee and their company and their cooperative as far as the great many dairy farmers across Canada that are involved in this company. So when you're at the grocery store and you see the label Gay Lee on it, LEA, buy it because it's a straight Canadian good and you're supporting Canadian dairy farmers when you do that. It's a really big deal. Y'all, we have a birthday today and it's kind of special. I'm not going to say why. Well, I'll tell you in just a second. You know, when this man was 21 years old, he was a rookie for the Raptors. When he was 31 years old, he also played for the Raptors. And now today he's 41 years old. So 10 years ago, he played for the Raptors. And 20 years ago, he played for the Raptors. Do y'all know who I'm talking about? Well, it's PJ Tucker. It is PJ Tucker's birthday today. Happy 41st birthday to the sneaker aficionado and connoisseur. He really loves basketball shoes, and he has an amazing basketball shoe collection. But yeah, PJ played for the Raptors 2 different stints. He was technically on the Raptors 3 times, but the third time he was on the Raptors, he didn't play a single game. He was just on our roster. But yeah, 2 years on the Raptors, 41 games played. He only had 4 starts, and he averaged 4 points per game. But like I said, the first time he played for the Raptors was 20 years ago, and he was 21 years old in 2006. He was on the Raptors then. And then 10 years later, he circled back and he was on our team in 2016 as a trade from the Phoenix Suns. So, yeah, happy birthday to 3-time Raptor, but not very proud to be a Raptor, PJ Tucker, who's 41 today. 31, he was a Raptor. 21, he was a Raptor. 41, he's retired. That's your birthday for today. It's PJ. PJ. Y'all, this fantasy league for our WNBA is coming up quick, y'all. So y'all want to get your team straightened out. We saw that Natasha Cloud signed with the Chicago Sky in the last couple days, and they dropped Haley Van Life. So, well, make according adjustments to your fantasy teams. And I see that our guy, Smoking Aces, has got Natasha on his roster already, and she's already on there. Yeah, so yeah, we got to get ready for our fantasy WNBA season. So get your rosters ready, and I will have the straight goods, the latest lineup news and the ref report for the game on Friday against Washington Mystics. You know, I think we're going to beat the Mystics in the first game at Coca-Cola Coliseum because in some ways that's the pattern in the history is that Toronto Raptors won their first game ever against New Jersey Nets. Well, I think that this is a setup for the Tempo to have a good first foot forward into their season and be 1-0 after beating the Washington Mystics on Friday night at Coca-Cola Coliseum. I'll make a prediction right now. I think part of it will be the influx of the talent with Marina Mabrey showing up, along with some of the other players that were in Europe that were playing in championships over there, and them showing up and having a little bit more togetherness and a little bit more professional feel to the game than the 2 preseason games, because we have, you know, the really creme de la creme Tempo players finally out on the court for them. So yeah, I look forward to that on Friday. Let's go Friday. All right, let's do the classic card and we'll start to get out of here. All right, it is after 2 hours. Let's see, where's my box? Shake it up, even though it doesn't do anything, Lex. Just shake up the box for just no reason. It's just for aesthetic, I guess. Oh, no. All right, let's see. Who is that? Okay, we've had this guy, I guess, recently. But all right, this is one of those weird cards where his name is in 2 places, so I have to cover it up weird. All right, can y'all see who that is? Full name answer, please, on the classic card of the day. It is a Rocket, so Smooth should have a chance here. But yeah, who is that? Full name answer. I have a hint here. That is this a player that we had for the classic card in the last month or so? Yeah, UC's figured it out. It is Robert Covington once again on a weird card. I'm going to give you 200 points for this, UC, because this is a hard card to me. You've done a very good job with the classic card recently. You got Tom Chambers the other day, and now you've got Robert Covington. Who is it? Kaz got Robert Covington the last time, is what it says here. Yeah, we had him last week on the 29th. So a second Robert Covington card in like a week. So yeah, 200 points to, I guess I gave 150 to Kaz before. You know what? I feel like 200 because this card was obscured and it looked a little harder to see. So I think it was a little bit harder than this one, the other one, because it was shiny and I had all my fingers covering it up. So UC gets the classic card of the day on Trivia Day. That'll be added to your trivia points, and it'll be in the comments after the stream is over. I'll add up and tally all the amounts for the trivia, and you guys can see the trivia standings and who got the trivia points today. So yeah, that's coming up real soon. All right, I guess I'll wrap it up, guys. We are on off-season schedule, so expect Wow Wednesday tomorrow and a Thursday Think Tank on Thursday. And maybe we'll have an open call-in show where people can just talk about general things like the wrap-up of the Raptors season and the beginning of the Tempo season and maybe Masai, stuff like that. So please, if you can, call in on Thursday, and we'll have a good call-in show on Thursday's show. Tomorrow's a Wow Wednesday. I'm a wow about something tomorrow and talk about something tomorrow. So, yeah, and then the preview on Friday for the first Tempo game ever in the history of the WNBA. Yeah, that's all right. There. UC, thank you. Good, great stream. Thank you. Fusey saying few movements in the WNBA. Check your fantasy lineups. Yeah, check and make sure none of your players got waived. Check and make sure that none of your players are not going to be on a team all of a sudden, even though you drafted them. That's what you got to find out there. All right, good job on the trivia today, guys. You were definitely paying rapt attention to the playoffs, as you should. It is a very exciting thing. And so we'll have a talk of this. Oh, here, we got a quote from Darko real quick in the breaking news on Ujiri. This is what he said. Darko on his former boss, Masai. Really excited for Masai. Really happy for him. Masai is one of the best leaders in the business. Him getting an opportunity to be with Dallas is great. I think he's going to do an amazing job. Looking forward to seeing him around more on the road. Okay, that's Darko's official comments on Masai Ujiri getting hired by the Mavericks. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you for watching the Raptor Freak stream, and I'll be back tomorrow. Good job on the trivia, Adriana. I appreciate you so much. And thank you to the Raptor Freaks for your participation and all the fun we have on this two-way street. That's right. PR comment. Exactly. I mean, that's a pretty standard, basic comment. And there's a lot of truth to it, too, probably. So, yeah, there's a lot of truth to it. You guys, we got to remember, once you're in the NBA family, if you want to stay in there, you don't want to rock the boat with politics like the Raptor Freak does. Because in some ways, yeah, you could get that treatment like Kyrie or Natasha Cloud. And, you don't want to get Kaepernicked, right? So in some ways, that's how they make you conform and conform to their ideologies. To say, well, you don't want to believe in this. You don't believe in a state of Israel. Well, you might have a hard time being in Adam Silver's NBA, is what we get the message from. Yeah, we can see it all. The veil's lifted. The truth is right there in front of you if you can see it. That's right. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you for the starting five, Alex. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Let's go, Raptors. But coming up, yeah, a man of many hats. Let's go, Tempo, baby. Yeah.